And for the final time in this very quick three-game homestand, we welcome you inside historic Bosse Field as we are just minutes away from first pitch between the Lake Erie Crushers and the Evansville Otters. A hearty welcome to you into the pregame show here on both the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. He's Bill McEwen. I'm Matthew Will. Tough way for last night to end. The Otters really powered themselves back into it. Miles Gordon with an absolute moonshot to right field. His second game-tying home run in the bottom of the ninth this year, but it came back to really not mean anything at all. Polancic walks a couple in that 10th inning. Lake Erie scores 4, and just like that, the hopes of the Otters just kind of crumbled out of right from under him.
True, Matthew. I'm afraid to make any negative comments anymore because I don't want to offend anybody, the pitching staff especially.
Well, and it was another tough day for Brett Adcock. There's no two ways about it. It's the second time in a row he's faced this Lake Erie team and just not really had his stuff out the gates. But on the bright side, Bryce Studeville came in, took the most of the opportunity, gave up a solo home run on the first pitch he threw, but from there on out, settled in, worked the curveball well, and once again, it was a nice performance from him.
Well, I'll agree with you. I thought Price did an excellent job. You know, it was like the night before when you had good. Now I can't say it.
Yeah,
but
Gossman. Yeah.
Gossman. I mean, he pitched 5 beautiful innings, and then the reliever came in. But you know, is that me or is that you with telephone?
Usually when you get finished up with a 7-game winning streak, the mentality around the team is, positivity. It's, hey, these things went really well for us. But unfortunately, after this 7-game winning streak ends with this game, there's almost a couple of question marks around this Otters team, struggling to figure out exactly what relievers are going to be the relievers they can rely on in these big situations.
Every pitcher is not a reliever, and every pitcher is not a starter. And whether the coaches or whether the individual realizes it, you're good at one, but you're not good at the other. So, that's when you got to find yourself. It's just like, am I a second baseman or am I a shortstop? Am I a center fielder or am I a right fielder? The individual has to find himself, not what someone tells them, but what the individual finds himself. As I said to you earlier, your 6-year-old, 7-year-old goes out for Little League Baseball, and some coach, some father says, we need a center fielder. All of a sudden, for the rest of your life, you're a center fielder. Yet, you may be the best second baseman, but you say to everybody, what position do you play, son? Second base. My brother was managing Omaha, and Rosie Gilhouse signed this kid from California, gave him $35,000, which is a lot of money in those days. So he's a second baseman. So my brother's managing at Omaha, their AAA club. He makes him a center fielder. So now the farm director gets to my brother and says, you can't do that. We signed him as a second baseman. The kid ended up playing about 5 years in the majors as an outfielder, not as a second baseman. So that's what I mean.
Lake Erie went on to win the game 8-5. The Otters were only able to manage 1 run in the bottom of the 10th inning. Second straight night, the Otters have been out-hit. The series is tied at 1 game apiece. Makes today a rubber match, and it's going to be a tale of 2 pitchers, I think, within this game. Jason Alvarez on one side for the Lake Erie Crushers. He's been very good in his 5 starts this year. Has 7 total appearances as he started as a reliever and has now become a really efficient starter. He's put up 45 strikeouts so far on the year. That's good for second best in the Frontier League entering the day. He goes up against Ryan O'Reilly, who is still searching for his first yes game, a game that he can put a stamp on and say, I absolutely know this was a great game. So far, O'Reilly has struggled to find consistency. He's struggled to have good run support behind him when he has a good outing himself. He really needs things to go the right way one time, and that might be the ticket to get back on the right track and get a couple of solid wins together. These 2 pitchers are going to be very different in their approaches, and we're going to see 2 very different games, I think, on either side of the ball.
Well, like you say, we hope every Otter plays outstanding, whether it's a pitcher or an everyday ball player. You're wishing we're Otter fans, so we want to see the Otters in the playoffs. We want to see them in the championship game. So, but again, every day is not their day.
Well, at the end of the day, the positive here is that the Otters are going to get to face a right-handed pitcher. Yesterday against the lefty, they really struggled. They did not see the ball well at all day long. While I say that, credit goes to Gunnar Kynes. He
Yeah,
is very good.
I thought he had a beautiful delivery, and when he came over on the 3/4, as you often say, that ball's coming into the right-hand hitter, and it's a different angle. But I think he dominated. He pitched brilliantly.
Well, we'll now take a break for our national anthem. We've got a special interview coming at you here on the Flow Sports broadcast that will kind of give you a little bit more information about the uh, Negro Leagues night that we're having here and some more information about the Evansville African American Museum. Just a few minutes away from first pitch here for Bosse Field. We'll have the starting lineups and introduce you to a little bit of a new face on some of these jerseys right after this. Enjoy the interview right after this break. Beautiful renditions of both Lift Every Voice and Sing and the Star Spangled Banner, and we are ready for baseball on a beautiful Father's Day afternoon. The temperatures here in the mid-80s. Lots of people piling in here to Bosse Field. Pleased you're joining us here on Flow Sports and on the Otters Digital Network. I want to remind you that Frontier League Baseball here on Flow Sports is presented by our friends at Working Distributors Evansville. If you're wondering why the jerseys you're seeing out there look just a little bit different, one of the sponsors today is Evansville African American Museum here on Juneteenth. They are honoring the Negro Leagues Baseball League. So every player will be wearing a little bit different jersey to honor that as well. Ryan O'Reilly, the starting pitcher for the Otters today. 6'3", 205, looking to get his first real solid start in some time. He's wearing a Seattle Steelheads jersey from 1946. The West Coast Baseball Association was an attempt at a Western Negro League competitor, but it only lasted one season. The Seattle entry in the league was actually Abe Staperstein's Harlem Globetrotter baseball team under a new name, that of a local variety of salmon. Players on the rosters included Luke Easton, Johnny Markham, Bill Blair, and Al Saylor. So that's a little bit of background behind the Steelheads jersey you see there on the back of Ryan O'Reilly. Here's the batters he'll be facing over there for the Lake Erie Crushers. Once again, it is a very left-hand dominant starting five of the starting nine are lefties, two are switch hitters. Really makes for a difficult time for O'Reilly if he's not able to really locate against those left-handed hitters. He does have a better average against lefties so far this year. We'll also take this time to kind of walk you through a couple of the coaches. Andy McCauley down there for the Otters will be donning the home jersey from 1953 of the Indianapolis Clowns. In 1953, the Indianapolis Clowns of the Negro American League were looking for a new second baseman to replace their previous second baseman, a teenager named Hank Aaron, who had just been signed by the Milwaukee Braves. Like any Negro League ball clubs, the Clowns were struggling after the 1947 signings of Jackie Robinson and Larry Doby to major league clubs, opening the door for all of the best black ball players to leave the Negro Leagues for better opportunities in the big leagues. McCauley is just one of a couple of coaches tonight wearing that Indianapolis Clowns jersey down there.
May I make a comment, sir, on what you just read? There was an inaccurate statement made. Henry Aaron did not sign with the Milwaukee Braves. He signed with the Boston Braves. The Milwaukee Braves didn't become reality until 1953.
First pitch for Ryan O'Reilly, a called strike one. Just misses on the high outside pitch. good on him to at least start off with a called strike there.
Yeah. Continuing, Henry Aaron was a Boston Brave playing in 1952 with the Eau Claire Bears, which was in the Northern League of the Boston Braves minor league system. So whoever wrote that, hopefully they make that correction.
Called strike 2 from O'Reilly, looking for a first punch out against a very good ball player in Austin White, who joined this Lake Erie team just a few weeks ago after completing the regional tournament or regional finals with Coastal Carolina, who were eliminated, and he has become an instant, really solid piece of this lineup for the Crushers. The 2-2 hit right back up the middle. Long run for Armstrong, extends the arm, but he's just going to have to stay there with it in his glove. And as, of course, I mentioned Armstrong out there at short, let's take this time to look through the defensive alignment for the Otters because it does look a little bit different. Zack Biermann in left field, Miles Gordon in center, Elijah Mcnamee in right. Across the infield, Anthony Taurellas playing third, Andy Armstrong at short, J.R. Davis at second, Steven Sinsley playing first, Dakota Phillips is behind the plate.
And adding a comment to your statement there, Armstrong fielded that ball in short center field behind second. No other Otter player could have made that play because Armstrong's got great range.
Brings up Jackson Valera, who is once again playing DH this evening. Jackson Valera is wearing the Kansas City Monarchs road jersey from 1945. The 0-1 towards Valera. White breaking towards second. The throw out there. Nice throw. He is out. Great work there from Dakota Phillips to gun the man down on his way out there.
That is a Johnny Bench throw. Right on the money.
And a bit convenient that he was involved in that play as well. Austin White also wearing that 1945 road Kansas City Monarchs jersey. A little bit extra for you about the Monarchs. For one brief year in 1945, the Satchel Paige, the grand old man of the Negro Leagues, and future pioneer Jackie Robinson were teammates in Kansas City. The Monarchs' road uniforms in 45 had a different color scheme, navy and gold instead of the traditional red and navy, and different roster numbers than the home uniforms, with Satchel wearing 0 on the road, while Robinson wore 23 as opposed to his usual 42. Just saw a German-American Bank strikeout there from Ryan O'Reilly for out number 2. Keenan Irizarry digs in now. He has been a thorn in the side of the Otters for these last couple nights. His first at-bat last night was a solo home run that kind of got to Brad Adcock a little bit early. From there on out, though, Brad Adcock started to control the game more and more throughout the next couple of innings. Defense playing pretty much straight up against Keenan Irizarry. The 1-0 headed his way, way inside, 2-0 the count. The count from Ryan O'Reilly. Pitch headed that way, and that one just catches the high inside corner for called strike 1. Irizarry wearing a Berkeley Pelicans jersey from 1930. The Berkeley Colored League was founded in 1928 by local promoter and sports writer Speed O'Reilly. The league featured African-American teams from the East Bay area with games hosted at Berkeley's San Pablo Park.
And where was that? Louisiana?
The information I have doesn't say necessarily.
Okay.
It just says Berkeley Pelicans.
Okay.
But it does say that it was featuring teams from the East Bay area, so I would assume it's probably East Coast, maybe Northeast. Foul ball into the netting. Evens the count at 2-2 for Keenan Irizarry. O'Reilly sends it his way, a half swing, and he did go around. So back-to-back German-American Bank strikeouts earned in the first inning for Ryan O'Reilly. Very good start for him. And Phillips helped him out with a caught stealing on the play as well. After one half inning, it's Lake Erie 0, Otters coming to bat. Bottom half of the first coming at you here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Jason Alvarez, the starting man for Lake Erie, had a couple of games this year initially as a reliever, fell into this role as a starting man, and now has done really well there, striking out a ton of batters when he is in there as well. 45 strikeouts as a ranked second highest in the Frontier League. Give you a quick look at Jason Alvarez and the jersey he's wearing. We'll talk about that right after we look through the Otters starting lineup. Gordon, Biermann, Baez, like usual, up top. Sinsley, Mcnamee, Davis round out the middle, followed by Phillips, Armstrong, and Taurellas, making his starting debut for the Otters.
Well, had the starting lineup, as you said, batting second, number 45, Zack Biermann. I've never seen him play left field, but
yeah, he played left for a couple games in Canada. Covered the ground really well out there, so excited to see him try it again out here.
So he's DHing, and he's playing third.
Nothing describes him better than a utility man. Can do just about anything you ask him to. You might be able to throw pads on him and put him behind home plate. I don't know. Well, it's Jason Alvarez up there on the mound. He is wearing an Indianapolis ABCs jersey from 1926. 1926 marked the final year of existence for the ABCs, named for the American Brewing Company. The club was a powerhouse in the early days of Negro League Baseball, featuring 3 players who were later inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in Oscar Charleston, Biz Mackey, and Ben Taylor. So out there, it's a gray jersey with red Indianapolis written across the front, red numbers on the back. The Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game is Miles Gordon. He steps to the plate to lead off for the Otters. Long wait to get the at-bat started. Jason Alvarez has his count and sends home the first pitch. Showing bunt is Gordon. Pulls away in time for ball 1. Miles Gordon is wearing a 1944 home jersey for the Washington Homestead Grays. After spending most of their history in the Pittsburgh area, the 1940s saw the famed Negro League Baseball Club play many of their home games in Washington, D.C. at Griffith Park, where they often outdrew the lowly Senators. Led by an aging star outfielder, Cool Papa Bell, the Grays won back-to-back Negro World Series titles in 1945 and 1943 and 1945. A lot of guys you'll see out there with Homestead Grays jerseys on.
Cool Papa. He was involved in a few of the signings of those players to the major leagues.
The 1-2 count to Miles Gordon. Pushes it out to the left and, well, foul. Will get out of play. You know, so much going on today, I think people even forgot it was dog days of summer. Haven't seen any dogs in attendance yet in this game, but whole lot else going on with Millennium Steel and the Evansville African American Museum here hosting the Salute to the Negro Leagues night. Even post-game fireworks after this. Gordon skies one towards right field. Having to play way in is Cheeley out there, but he does haul it in for out number 1. Tell you what, more and more and more, it seems like Miles Gordon is starting to really pull balls to that right side.
You're right. You're right.
But he's hitting them hard, so not a lot to be upset about there.
Well, you heard of Tom Kelly, who was the manager of the Minnesota Twins. Well, he's from my hometown, and I scouted him in high school. And his father said to me one day,
Biermann sends one bouncing towards Figueredo at second. He goes to first in time for out number 2. Real quick out there against Zack Biermann.
His father said to me one day, he was playing, you gotta understand, they're not pitching to Tom because he's a good hitter. So Tom is not getting good pitching to hit. And I said to his father, as scouts, we're not interested in how many hits they got. We're interested in how many times they hit the ball. Do you swing at the ball and make contact, or do you swing and not make contact? Tom Kelly swung at the ball and made contact. That is what you're looking for. They're prospects.
The designated hitter this evening, Jeffrey Baez, heads to the plate, takes the ball inside to start his count at 1-0. And Alvarez sends him the 1-0 pitch now. Hard hit to the left side. misplayed by the third baseman Flotay, and it will be at least a safe at first for Baez. We'll wait to hear if they decide it's an error or a hit.
It's an error. It's
And
listed as an error.
Bryant Flotay will pick up an error that allows Jeffrey Baez to reach first. That'll bring up the cleanup hitter, first baseman Steven Sinsley. Steven Sinsley, a guy who has really gotten hot in these last few games, wearing the same jersey that Miles Gordon wore in that leadoff spot from the Washington Homestead Grays in 1944.
And they all have, whether it's the Otters or Erie Crushers, the number on all their shirts is 42. And 42 became famous because of a Brooklyn Dodger, Jackie Robinson. That was his number.
1-0 the count to Steven Sinsley. Running towards second is Baez. The throw out there. Great throw, and they got him. So just like in the top of the first, there is a runner thrown out. This time it's Jeffrey Baez after one full inning. We're still scoreless from historic Bosse Field. Take a look through the Steel Corp Frontier League standings as we head into this fine Sunday. Washington with a big win yesterday, able to hop Evansville over a half game. But Schaumburg did defeat Washington today, so if the Otters could win, they would jump right back up into that one spot. Joliet still up there climbing the tables up throughout the Frontier League. Schaumburg, Windy City, Gateway, Florence, and Lake Erie round out the things. Florence has started to put a couple of good wins together to start working themselves back into the conversation as well. Ottawa retains their first place in the East for the second straight day, but it's still close between them and Quebec. Sussex County has made a great run in the last few games, right alongside New York. Tri-City has fallen in a few games in a row. And once again, a lot of movement going on throughout the Frontier League. We'll also look through the Fox Sports WIFX Frontier League scoreboard. We knew Empire State was going to have their best shot today. A doubleheader at Trois-Rivières. They fell 5-4 in the first game of the day. Closer.
Close, yes.
And then New York defeated Tri-City 15-12 earlier today. Like I mentioned, Schaumburg defeated Washington 13-6. Sussex County defeated Quebec 7-5. Ottawa defeated New Jersey 7-4. Gateway finally got a win against Joliet, an 8-5 win. And not this time. Trois-Rivières defeats Empire State 13-7. So with their two losses today, Empire State has tied the Brooklyn Atlantic's record of 31 straight losses set all the way back in 1875. An 0-1 to Coco Figueredo. He fires it out towards left, but it is going to end up foul.
I wouldn't want to be a member of that ball club at this time. I bet they're all depressed.
Coco Figueredo is wearing a 1935 road jersey from the Brooklyn Eagles, owned by Hall of Fame husband and wife ownership duo Abe and Effa Manley. The latter became the first woman inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. The Eagles played home games at famed Ebbets Field while representing Brooklyn in the Negro National League during their only year of existence in 1935. Before the 1936 season, the Manleys bought the Newark Dodgers and consolidated the two clubs under a new name, the Newark Eagles. And we are going to see a Newark Eagles jersey a little bit later in the game as well.
Yeah, I knew Newark had a team in that league.
The 1-2 to Figueredo falls just out of the zone. Count evens up at 2-2.
In fact, I think Larry Doby, I don't know if they're mentioning Larry Doby in any of them, but Monty Irvin and Larry Doby, I think, played for that North team.
Defense playing straight up against Coco Figueredo, who has been another guy who has been very consistent in this two-game set thus far. The 2-2 catches the inside edge. You can't believe he didn't swing at it. And he sits down with the third straight strikeout for Ryan O'Reilly. All three of them German-American Bank strikeouts. That'll bring up the first baseman, Connor Owings, who is really quickly becoming one of the guys to be worried about in this league. Very consistent hitter. He's made the Otters pay for a couple of bad pitches throughout this series, including on our first game on Friday night, a 3-run home run in the top of the ninth.
He's got several home runs, but he's got quite a few RBIs.
First pitch towards him. Called strike one on the high outside corner. Of course, because this game started an hour and a half earlier than the last two this weekend, that sun is in a different area. That the shade is in a place where right as it's getting towards home place, that ball turns from a bright white to all of a sudden, boom, a shadow. And as these next couple innings go, you're going to see that line move closer towards the pitcher, and who knows how much that'll affect some of these batters. A swinging strike two has Connor Owings down in the count 0-2, and Ryan O'Reilly has himself one strike away from a fourth straight strikeout. The kick and delivery on the 0-2. Bounces in for ball one. That one ends up in the Otters bullpen.
Well, you're talking about the sun. A lot of times, whether it's a high school, college, or professional baseball team, their ball field has the sun settling over the center field fence. And in the case here at Boston Field, as in many stadiums, they put up some kind of a barrier in center so that the batter is not looking into that sun.
So 1-2 is the count to Connor Owings. O'Reilly taking his time there on the mound. Nods at his count, and here comes the 1-2. Lifted high and foul towards the parking lot to the left side.
I'll tell you what, that parking lot was loaded too. We came in about 4 o'clock, and I tell you, people were fighting for a parking spot on the street.
Connor Owings is wearing a 1950 road jersey for the Washington Panthers, along with the top tier of Negro League Baseball, which included the Negro National, Negro American, and other leagues. There existed a vast array of barnstorming and semi-professional teams. The Panthers were one of those, based in Washington, D.C.
Here's the
Swinging
strikeout.
strike three and tagged out. It's 4 straight German-American Bank strikeouts for Ryan O'Reilly. You know, I mentioned to you during the pregame very briefly, we needed to see Ryan O'Reilly have a day where he controlled the game from the second he got onto the mound on, and he's done that so far.
I'll agree with you on that.
The base hit got snagged by a shortstop just a tad bit late. Phillips bailed him out on the stolen base, and ever since, he's struck everyone out. It brings up Jake Gitter, who is the left fielder in this game once again. First pitch he sees, a called strike one on the low edge.
Well, you and I have discussed this since spring. Pitchers have got to throw strikes, and that's what this young man is doing.
The 0-1 towards Gitter. Again, a called strike. Gitter is wearing a Cuban X Giants jersey from 1903. To avoid confusion with the original Cuban Giants, this team added a letter X to their name. Led by Edward B. Lamar Jr., the X Giants were one of the top early independent black pro clubs. In 1903, they played in the Integrated Tri-State Independent League and took 5 of 7 games from the Philadelphia Giants for the title as the top black team in the East. They played from 1896 to 1906 in Trenton, New Jersey.
Really? In Trenton?
So that is the jersey being worn by Jake Gitter this evening from the Cuban X Giants. Back-to-back pitches inside, evens the count at 2-2.
I didn't know Newark had a team in it. Trenton had a team in it. So I just got edified myself.
Defense playing straight up once again. Gitter ready for the 2-2. Swinging strike 3, and Ryan O'Reilly strikes out the side. Make it 5 German-American Bank strikeouts for the kid, and we head to the bottom half of the second inning. Still scoreless for Bossy. Bottom of the second inning, coming at you here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Steven Sinsley, Elijah Mcnamee, and J.R. Davis are due up for the Otters. Sinsley was at bat when the inning ended in the first, as Jeffrey Baez was caught stealing second. Other than that, Miles Gordon and Zack Biermann were sat down in order in the inning.
Yeah.
For the second straight night, Otters looking for someone to just kickstart the offense.
And Baez slid into that tag. He wasn't tagged. He slid into it. The ball beat him, and it was a perfect throw where the infielder just laid his glove right there in front of the bag, and here comes Baez, and he just slid right into it.
The final warm-up pitch thrown out there. And, you know, as I sit here and I see all of these unique jerseys, I do have to feel bad for Keenan Irizarry, who is the lone individual in this field wearing a black jersey in this sun right now. Everyone else has gray jerseys, but his Monarchs jersey is a dark black out there in shorts.
Isn't that supposed to reflect the sun?
I guess
attract it or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So Steven Sinsley once again returns to the plate. Fresh counts for him. The defense played a little bit shifted to the right. First pitch he sees, and he fouls it up and out to the left side. I mentioned Steven Sinsley, another one wearing that Washington Homestead Grays jersey from 1944. Takes a pitch just outside to even the count at 1-1 from Jason Alvarez up there on the mound.
You know, I like that comment you made earlier about the Washington team, that they drew more playing in Griffith Stadium than did the Senators. That's one of the reasons why the Senators moved to Minnesota, because they weren't drawing. And the entire organization of the Washington Senators was in the Griffith family.
Called strike 2 to Steven Sinsley in the high outside corner. Has him down 1-2. Pitch on the way, and he sends it out towards left field. Gitter chasing towards the wall at the warning track, brings it in for out number 1. Good work out there from Gitter to keep tracking that ball down and hauling it in for the first out.
You noticed it too, that he kept his eye on that ball. It was running constantly. He kept his eye looking over his shoulder and running.
Well, and of course, it's hard to see from up here, but you hope that the center fielder was there yelling out, "You've got space, you've got space,"
right,
and not making that part of Gitter's job to reach out and try to figure out where he was.
But it's good that you observed that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Elijah Mcnamee heads to the plate now. He's wearing a Grays jersey as well, but his is a bit different. His is from 1938. And the Homestead Grays, led by Josh Gibson, Buck Leonard, and Ray Brown, who were all Hall of Famers. The Grays won one of 9 consecutive Negro National League pennants in 1939 while playing home games in Pittsburgh's Forbes Field.
You know, Gibson was the player that I couldn't remember his name yesterday when I was telling about the Welsh West Virginia Ball Club. We're up in the up on the mountain road, hit me and win a car. And I said, who the heck could hit a ball that far? And Josh Gibson was the person.
Mcnamee fouls one high and out of play, so the count evens at 1-1 for him. Takes another pitch up high, ball 2. You know, surprisingly enough, the defense is expecting him to pull just a tad. They're moved to the left just barely. Elijah Mcnamee is just about an all-around hitter, I feel.
Yep.
The 2-1. Way out in front of it, and the count evens up at 2-2. Good work on the off speed there from Alvarez. That's what makes him a dangerous strikeout threat.
If a pitcher has a good change,
good work from Mcnamee to foul it back into the netting and keep the count at 2-2.
it's just as valuable as a pitcher that throws 99 miles an hour. Because that change can get you everyone's looking for the 99-mile-an-hour fastball, and here comes the 62-mile change, and you're way, way out front.
The 2-2 to Mcnamee.
Strike 3. Ooh.
Just barely missing on the high outside corner is Alvarez. Oh, boy. He thought he should have had it. Kind of winced a little there on the mound afterwards.
He ought to turn around to the umpire and say, thank you.
But the count is now full for Elijah Mcnamee with no one on and 1 out here in the bottom half of the second inning. The 3-2. Swinging strike 3. And Elijah Mcnamee will sit down with a K next to his name. First strikeout of the day for Jason Alvarez. And what do you know? The time he got his first strikeout, he worked in his off-speed well, and that's what makes him dangerous.
That's right.
It'll bring J.R. Davis to the plate now. J.R. Davis playing second base once again tonight.
Davis has spent most of his time at third base, hasn't he?
Most of the year, yes. Yeah. First pitch towards J.R. Davis. Takes it for a called strike 1. He's wearing a home jersey from 1935 from the Homestead Grays. Though the Grays played home games at Pittsburgh's Forbes Field, they took their name from the small suburb of Homestead, Pennsylvania. After playing as an independent club for a few seasons prior, the Grays joined the Negro National League in 1935. Skies a ball towards shallow right field, and it will be the first baseman Connor Owings who hauls it in for out number 3. Quick 1-2-3 inning takes us to the third. Still scoreless from Evansville on a beautiful Sunday evening for baseball. Well, it's time for the top of the third inning, and moving around this game quite nicely thus far is neither team really in the mood to hit the baseball yet, and more importantly, two starting pitchers who are really finding their groove well early.
Well, let's look at the Otter pitcher, how well he's doing. Struck out the last 5 batters. So I would say that's quite an accomplishment.
Good look of the Corona patio party deck out there in right center field. Great place to watch a ball game. If you have a group of friends or coworkers who'd wish to come to historic Bosse Field and enjoy an Otters game from what I think are some of the best seats in the house, you can call our front office at 812-435-8686, and they can help you figure out the perfect game to bring your friends out for a game out there on the Corona patio deck. Just about any group size will get it done. Called strike 1 on the inside edge, and you know that has been something that I feel like I sound like a broken record every single one of these games. The Otters starting pitchers have done much better to get those first pitch strikes.
Yep.
And Ryan O'Reilly has done really good to get the second pitch strike as well. 0-2 again. Devin Fisher, the catcher, waits on the 0-2.
Strike.
Just missing on the high outside corner is O'Reilly.
I thought that was number 6.
Fisher, the catcher, is wearing a 1926 road Chicago American Giants jersey. The 1-2 to Fisher. High inside ball 2. Founded in 1910 by Ruby Foster, the American Giants were one of the most dominant clubs in black baseball through the 1930s. In addition to founding and owning the club, Foster also played and managed the club. As the ball is sent out foul to the right side, it will get down, however. While 1926 would mark Foster's last year as a manager of the Chicago American Giants, the American Giants finished that season by winning their first of back-to-back Negro World Series titles. So that's that black jersey you see there on your screen now with the white pinstripes. Two the count. Sent home towards Fisher. Way inside, and the count fills up at 3-2. O'Reilly with a deep breath up there has his sign from Dakota Phillips. Fires home on the full count. Called strike 3 on the high inside corner. And once again, Ryan O'Reilly picks up another K, his 6th straight in the game. All 6 of them German-American bank strikeouts. And that'll bring up the third baseman, Bryant Flotay. Flotay, another one of the lefties on this team, on an almost completely left-handed hitting team at this point. First pitch to Bryant Flotay. Called strike 1 on the high outside corner. Flotay is wearing a road jersey from 1949 for the Baltimore Elite Giants. The 1949 Elite Giants were led by a 20-year-old infielder named Jim Gillum.
Now, how many times have I heard you say Giants?
Just about every.
How many teams are Giants?
Feels like all of them.
Yes.
After 3 straight All-Star seasons in Baltimore by Gillum, he was signed by the Brooklyn Dodgers, where he won the 1953 National League Rookie of the Year. As the Dodgers' leadoff hitter for most of the 50s, Gillum won 4 World Series titles, made 2 All-Star Game appearances, saw his number 19 jersey later retired by the club, and it all got started here at these Baltimore Elite Giants, the jersey being worn by Bryant Flotay. The 2-1. Skied high and foul to the left side. Chasing after it for a little while is Taurellas, and he will run out of room. I was interested to see how that play worked out because Taurellas has not got to play defense really at this park yet, so he's not quite familiar with just how far he can go over there.
And now this is the first game he's played. He just signed the other day.
Yeah. He got 1 inning of play in last night, but I don't think it was really enough to understand this area quite yet.
It was just to break the ice.
Yeah. So 2-2, the count to Bryant Flotay.
Strike.
Oh, boy.
Ooh.
Pitch missed somewhere, and it's full count once again.
You know, Ryan O'Reilly might have run a couple counts to 3-2, but boy, every one of those balls are questionable strikes.
The 3-2 misses inside, and it's the first walk dished out by Ryan O'Reilly. It breaks up a 6-hitter streak of strikeouts.
Right. You know, the umpire could have went either way on some of those pitches. So it's not that O'Reilly, when they call a ball 4 or ball 3, that it's wild. It's within the zone of being called a strike.
Sean Cheely heads to the plate now. Cheely is wearing an Oakland Larks jersey from 1946. O'Reilly readies himself on the mound, a glance over towards first, and sends home the first pitch. Called strike 1 on the high outside corner. The Oakland Larks were one of the better organized clubs in this short-lived West Coast Black League. Pitchers Lionel Wilson went on to be Oakland's first African-American mayor, and Sam Jones, who ended up winning 102 games in the major leagues, both played for the Larks. O'Reilly sets up for the 0-1. Kicks and delivers on it. It's fouled back into the netting, and man, once again, another batter looking at an 0-2 count. And then he puts 3 pitches really close and gets them all called balls.
You know, you're reading a lot of statistics and history. Whoever did that research must have spent a lot of hours.
It was our play-by-play man last year, Ryan White, who put it all together.
Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, 2 the count to Sean Sheely. Bounces in for ball 1. That's one of the most errant balls he's thrown thus far. Most of them have been much closer.
One of the few balls I've seen him shortchange that it had to be blocked by the catcher.
1-2 the count to Sean Sheely with 1 out and a runner on first. O'Reilly looks in for the sign, has it, and sends home the 1-2. Again, fouled back into the netting. Another really good crowd settling in here at Bosse Field. Very good turnout as expected, as the Evansville African American Museum handed out a lot of tickets and really got the word out about this game.
That's how I was wondering who did they give away some tickets, and
yeah,
you've just answered the question. Yes.
Also going to be post-game fireworks after this game. Quick throw over to first.
Well, I shall not be here for them. I'll tell you that. I might leave. I'm leaving around 7:30, 7:45 because it gets dark, and I got to get out of here before it gets dark.
Well, the last time the Otters had a firework night was Friday night, and we were scared they might have used all the fireworks on the 5 home runs hit by the Otters. Don't worry, that thing lasted for about 20 minutes long, the fireworks show here at Bosse Field. 1-2 for Sheely, just snagged by Phillips. Then he throws out to first just to say, hey, Flotay, get back over there to first real quick. It is really cool to see an event like this. The tournament I usually work in Wichita had a night where they had the Monarchs and the Grays play each other. Well, it was the teams playing, but they put them in special jerseys, and it's cool to get to hear some more of the history of these Negro League teams that really carried baseball for a few years in the early 1900s, in a time where the world was changing quite a bit, and it introduced the world to a lot of very good players and gave them an opportunity to show what they were made of.
Well, Jackie Robinson was the first to break into the major leagues, and he was followed by my good friend Larry Doby, who the next year played for Cleveland, and they won the championship in 1948.
Of course, the Negro League Museum is located there in Kansas City, Missouri, not too far from Kauffman Stadium. You know, it's something that me and my parents have always wanted to go, yet we've never made it up there yet. So we'll just have to make that a part of maybe next summer's plans or something. But I've heard that I know that the Royals last year put a big influx of funding into, and the Major League backed them, put a bunch in as well, and they totally redid the space to make it brand new. And
one of the players of that era that's been recognized as one of the Hall of Famers was with Kansas City. When I was with Kansas City, he was, and I can't remember his name, and I was hoping you'd come up and one of the names.
There's a few other names in there. We might get to it still.
And I'll let you know when it comes, if it is.
But 2-2 the count to Sheely. Again, foul to the right side.
But he was one of the let's say finest gentlemen you want to meet, and probably one of the all-time great Evansville Braves was a guy named Horace Gardner. He played in that league. That's where the Braves got him out of the Negro League. And you couldn't have asked for a finer gentleman, whether it was on the baseball field or in the restaurant or whatever.
2-2, fouled off to the left side now.
Horace Gardner.
Well, and now, of course, in the American Association, another one of the independent baseball leagues here in the country, the Kansas City, what used to be the Kansas City T-Bones, changed their name a couple of years ago and rebranded to the Kansas City Monarchs to pay homage back to the
Right.
Negro Leagues. And
That's all I remember was Kansas City Monarchs.
yeah,
Yes.
and now that American Association team is completely rebranded back to the Monarchs as a way to pay tribute back.
Yeah.
2-2 the count to Sean Cheeley. Big pitch here once again for Ryan O'Reilly. He's going to opt to throw over real quick. Man, it's hard to believe that striking out 6 in a row and still facing just the 9th batter, he's already at 50 pitches here in the 3rd inning.
Yeah.
And that's what's really plagued him this year is his pitch count has got up so quick on him. He just runs out of stamina too early in games, it feels. He's only been able to break 90 one time this year.
Well, again, you talk to any baseball person, strike. Ooh.
2-2 misses outside. The count fills up for the 3rd straight batter.
Velocity is not the essence of a pitcher's arsenal.
I guess I should have clarified. He's only broke 90 pitches this year so far. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now
Not
he's worked into the 90s a good few times with his fastball.
Oh, okay.
No, he's only been able to throw 90 plus pitches once all year. He's had outings that have not got to last that long.
We could have a double play here, strike out and a throw out.
The 3-2 to Chile. Runner goes, and it's fouled over to the left side. Watch out. Well, I'll say this much. Obviously, he's going to get a pretty good jump because it's a full count pitch. But Bryant Flotay had a very good jump on that pitch.
He was halfway to second before the ball reached home plate. I tell you what, even Johnny Bench couldn't have thrown him out.
Long wait from O'Reilly on the mound as he receives his sign from home. He's going to throw over to first, and it's the throw is high, but had the throw been a bit lower, it would have been a very competitive throw. You might see on our broadcast here a lot of neon jerseys they're walking around, or neon shirts there behind home plate and stuff. Those are the shirts given out by the Evansville African American Museum this evening.
Oh, they were freebies.
Yeah, right there at the gate. The 3-2 to Chile. And it's ball 4 high outside. Another close one that O'Reilly doesn't get called his way. So back-to-back walks, back-to-back hard-earned walks have runners at first and second as we head back to the top of the order where Austin White heads to the plate.
I don't know if you noticed how Dakota held up waiting for the call because, again, if that was strike 3, he needed to throw. Yet, umpires did delay the calls on that particular play of 3-2 and 1 out or something. A catcher's liable to throw it in center fielder to be the advantage to the offensive team.
Again, Austin White wearing a 1945 road Kansas City Monarchs jersey that had that unique navy and gold color scheme instead of the usual red and navy scheme.
I'm hoping you come up with that guy's name. And I'll tell you an interesting story. And it was in Wichita.
So there's runners on first and second with 1 out. Austin White at the plate. Dangerous hitter. Missing on the high outside edge is O'Reilly. And that same pitch right there, it feels like a pitch he's gotten called a strike a couple times. Maybe that one was a bit further outside from our angle. It's hard to tell. But it seems like he got him called in the first couple innings, and now the zone has just very small shrunk a bit. The 1-1 to White. That one stays low for ball 2.
I think you've seen it as well as I. Sometimes the pitcher's having a hard time throwing strikes, and the umpire compensates and helps them by enlarging the strike zone.
Two one the count to Austin White. This one's hit on the ground to the right side and foul. Yeah, so far of the 56 pitches he's thrown, 35 of them have been strikes. So he's been pretty effective making sure that he's making them good pitches.
Well, that's better than half, but again, reiterating the point that even if it's a ball, it's within the strike zone. The umpire could have called it either way.
One of the hardest parts for Ryan O'Reilly is even the nights that he puts out a good performance, his Otters bats have not backed him up very well. In fact, in his first 4 starts this year, the Otters combined for just 9 runs of offense for him.
Be careful.
Ball shot out towards right field. Mcnamee chasing back, hauling it in for out number 2. And because Flotay was playing halfway to second so he could score on a drop, he didn't get to advance on the throw. That could be a costly error for him out there on the base paths.
Yeah, but give Elijah a gold medal and a gold star for that play. I mean, he ran his heart out, reached up, got it, took one step and brought it back into the infield.
Well, I tell you what, that's not a highlight play because it's him. But a lot of other guys in this league, if they make that catch, it's probably a highlight reel because they've dove after it and just barely got it. But the way he takes off towards the ball makes it look so easy out there.
I'm going to say that if any other team defensive player was at right field, that would have been a double. Because you got the best right fielder in all of the Frontier League playing for the Otters.
Big swing from Jackson Valera has him coming up empty, and he's down the count 0-1.
And I think, what's that team? Gateway, I think they will verify what I just said. He's the best.
Jackson Valera also wearing that road 1945 jersey from the Kansas City Monarchs this evening. Takes a pitch low and outside, ball 1. That evens the count up at 1-1.
Those Monarchs are getting mentioned quite a bit now.
I think there's at least one Otter wearing a Monarchs jersey as well. Actually, now that I think about it, there's probably 4 or 5 of the actual KC ones. The 1-1 count towards Valera. Hit sharply to the left side, but it stays just foul. Oh boy, that would have been extra bases. That would have probably been 2 runs. And the sigh of relief comes.
It hung up there just a little too high.
I'll tell you what, you're happy to see that O'Reilly was able to manage the game the way he has so far, but you're disappointed to see his pitch count working up so quickly. You really wanted to see him get a start that could last him 6-7 innings, and he's going to have to be very efficient in the next couple innings to keep his pitch count low.
Well, I'm going to say it's the umpire who was squeezing home plate.
The 1-2 to Valera. Just misses on the outside edge. The count evens up at 2-2.
You know, it's like on my way home last night, I kept saying, you know, Andy should protest to the league last night's game because it was the umpire that changed the whole concept of the game. By not calling the infield fly, he changed.
Yeah, that infield fly could have made a world of difference.
Oh, yeah.
The 2-2 to Jackson Valera. Yes, it did. Catches the strike zone for a called strike 3. Valera is arguing it, but it's his second German-American baked strikeout on the day. 7 in total for the Otters. And we are ready for the bottom half of the third inning. Still no score in this game, and, you know, I think that is at least right now, this is the perfect way to end this weekend. These two teams have been really close all weekend long. No lead has been safe. Both squads have had good pitching. Both teams have been let down by their bullpens at times. It just feels fitting that another game between these two is staying pretty close.
I'll agree with you. Everything you just said. It's a nail biter every game. And like I said, my heart can only take so much.
Well, leading off the half inning for the Otters will be their 7-hole hitter. As the bottom of the order is due up, Dakota Phillips, Andy Armstrong, and Anthony Taurellas. Dakota Phillips batting .337 as we enter this game.
Yeah, Dakota 3 weeks ago was batting .400. And I think that series in Gateway City hurt him.
First pitch to Phillips is on the way now. That one high and outside for ball one. Phillips is wearing a 1946 home jersey for the Harlem Globetrotters. Promoter Abe Staperstein wanted a traveling baseball club to complement his famous basketball team. He first formed the West Coast Baseball Association, a fledgling Negro League on the West Coast that disbanded after only a couple months. Upon the league's death, Staperstein repurposed it into a single team under the Globetrotters name, barnstorming the country for the next few years. The 1-1, that's fouled back into the netting. So Dakota Phillips falls back in the count 1-2. Defense is playing with a pretty hefty shift to the right side, expecting Phillips to yank it that way. But we have seen plenty of hits to left field from him thus far this season.
He's got power to left field, and where the third baseman's playing now would be a normal shortstop position.
The 1-2, and it's bouncing towards the right side. It's the pitcher who picks it up, and then he steps on first. What a play from Jason Alvarez to grab that out. A rare one unassisted play to get out Dakota Phillips. That brings up the shortstop, Andy Armstrong, who had last night off. Armstrong this evening is wearing a New York Black Yankees jersey from 1935. The New York Black Yankees started as an independent team in 1932 and then joined the Negro Leagues National League in 1936. When the American League Yankees were on the road, the Black Yankees used the house that Ruth built as their home field. Notable Black Yankees players include Fats Jenkins, George Mule Suttles, and Satchel Paige. First pitch for Andy Armstrong. Shows bunt. He gets air underneath it to the left side, and it's caught by the third baseman, Flotay.
Got to give Armstrong credit. The only thing is he dropped that bat. That's why it was a pop fly.
That will bring up the third baseman, Anthony Taurellas, making his very first plate appearance for the Otters. Taurellas is wearing a 1942 New York Black Yankees jersey. New York Black Yankees started as an independent team, of course, in 1932. Satchel Paige appeared in a publicity shoot in Yankee Stadium in this Black Yankees uniform, but it is unknown if he actually pitched a game for the team.
I don't remember Satchel Paige until 1948 with the Cleveland Indians, when he made quite a sensation. Bob Lemon, Bob Feller, and Satchel Paige.
The 0-1 stays high and evens his count at 1-1. Anthony Taurellas trying to make a good impression with his first at-bat for the Otters. 1-1 stays high and inside. So 2 on the count. Anthony Taurellas is fresh out of college, played 4 years for East Stroudsburg University, an NCAA Division II team in the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. During his time of collegiate play. He had a lifetime batting average in college of .312, but in his junior season, he hit 400 in the 20 games he played there for East Stroudsburg.
He
Pitch
got
works
hit.
inside and hits him, and he will be the second base runner for the Otters today.
So if he had a lifetime batting average at the university 300, but then as a junior, he batted 400. Those others must have been below 300.
Looks like the rest of his years were just above 300.
Oh,
So that's why the average is down there in the mid to low 300s overall. We head back to the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, and Miles Gordon, who flew out to right field his first time up. Of course, Miles Gordon, another one of them wearing the Washington Homestead Grays jersey for 1944. Watches the first pitch go by elbow high for a called strike one. Taurellas with a decent lead at first. We haven't got to see his speed yet. I wonder if he tries to show it in this opportunity. The 0-1 to Gordon. Hefty swinging strike two, and he's down big in the count. If Gordon can find his way on base, Zack Biermann due up next for the Otters. The 0-2. Gordon skies it to the left side, and it will get out of play. Yeah, well, the only thing that makes this a little bit difficult is now when you try to look down to see numbers far away, they're all number 42 tonight.
yes. So you don't know who's warming up.
Yeah, it's difficult, especially down there in the bullpens, as I see people start to walk around. And stepping off is Jason Alvarez, the pitcher for Lake Erie.
So you mean the Otters got someone warming up the bullpen?
Nah, just walking around.
Oh,
I was trying to figure out exactly who it was because I couldn't tell. And when I looked down to see a number, I just had kind of forgot that they were all wearing the same one. Now we're into that part of the game where a lot of the guys who are expecting to be a middle relief or a long relief get up and just do some basic stretches so that if they're needed, they're ready to go. So a couple of them up there got their bands out and were stretching at least a little bit. Miles Gordon has evened his count to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Taurellas, probably the shortest lead we've seen him have over there at first thus far. The 2-2 for Gordon. Skies it out towards right field, but it will keep hooking and foul and get out of the ballpark. Count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs and a runner on. Otters would like to put a little bit of a 2-out rally together here.
we're in the bottom of the third, and you look up at that scoreboard, and there's only been one hit.
And it was the leadoff man
Right.
who almost got snagged by Armstrong,
Right.
and then he got caught stealing.
Right.
2-2 stays high. Gordon's looking at a full count.
And no other shortstop probably would have gotten to that ball that Armstrong did because it was way behind second base. Even if Armstrong came up throwing, he wouldn't have thrown that runner out.
No way. When it was hard hit, but as soon as it hit the grass for the first time, it slowed so much down that by the time it finally got to him, there wasn't a play. The 3-2 hit sharply to the right side. It gets into the fan seating area. It remains a 3-2 count. Taurellas was in motion, obviously, with it being a full count.
Well, I'm looking at that infield grass right now. It's kind of spotty. And the team will be away for a week or so, and that'll be a good time to throw some seed out there.
3 balls and 2 strikes to Miles Gordon. 2 outs and a runner on first. Again, Taurellas is in motion. Ball 4, and there'll be runners on first and second with 2 outs.
Yeah.
Back-to-back free passes, one on a hit by pitch, one on a walk. Puts runners at first and second for the Otters as Zack Biermann heads to the plate. Biermann grounded out on the first pitch he saw the last at-bat, so I was unable to give you a little background on the jersey he is wearing this evening. Zack Biermann wearing a 1945 home jersey for the Detroit Stars. The Detroit Stars played at historic Mack Park, and the Stars had winning seasons every year but 2, but were never able to secure any championships. Among the best players was Baseball Hall of Famer Turkey Stearns. Detroit fielded a team in the first official black baseball league, the Negro National League of 1920. After the demise of the original NNL, the Stars continued as an independent club until the early 1950s. Again, a Detroit Stars jersey for Zack Biermann. Says Detroit across the front, has some nice piping along as well, and the Stars is written very small above the letters on the back. So Biermann digs in, ready for his first offering of this at-bat. First pitch he sees works away from him for ball 1. Otters hit the road after this game for 6 games on the road, 3 at Florence on Tuesday through Thursday, and then 3 at this Lake Erie team next Friday through Sunday before returning home to face Joliet. Another ball up high, 2-0 the count to Biermann.
It looked like Zack was getting ready to stride and kind of twisted his ankle or something.
Two balls and no strikes for Zack Biermann. Stays low, gets a little bit away from the catcher, Fisher, but he's able to pick it up in time.
So we got a 3-0 count. Be interesting what he does on the next pitch.
Yeah, he's a hard one to guess because sometimes he really gives himself a green light and swings away, and sometimes he's very reserved on these pitches. Runners on first and second with 2 outs. The 3-0. Biermann lifts it high and foul to the left side. Chasing that way is Fisher and Flotay, and it will fall foul for strike 1.
That was a good analysis you gave because, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the beginning of the season, Zack Biermann was swinging at the first pitch almost every time at bat. Now he's very reserved, as you said. But he could give up that 3-0 pitch at that one.
Yeah, he has developed a great sense of making the pitcher throw to him.
Yep.
A lot of batters almost expect the pitcher to throw to them, and then there's these special batters that challenge the pitcher to throw it close. Nice pitch there, and Biermann's just barely able to foul it back into the netting. Full count here with 2 outs, runners on, in a scoreless game. Taurellas at second, Gordon at first, Zack Biermann at the plate, looking at a full count pitch with 2 outs here in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Pitch on the way, and it stays high and away for ball 4, and the bases are now loaded on free passes. Deerhead Sidewalk Cafe and Bar has loaded the bases, and it will bring up the heavy-hitting DH, Jeffrey Baez. Baez, another one that had a very quick at-bat his last time out there, so I couldn't introduce you to the jersey that he is donning. It's got Script Eagles written across the front because it is a home jersey from 1946 for the Newark Eagles, owned by Effa Manley, the first woman inducted into Cooperstown, and led by star outfielder Larry Doby. The 46 Eagles won the Negro World Series, defeating the Kansas City Monarchs in 7 games. First pitch is a called strike 1 at the elbows. The following season, Doby would join the Cleveland Indians and break the American League color barrier 3 months after Jackie Robinson would break the Major League color barrier. First American leaguer to break that barrier. The 0-1 to Baez. Big swing, but he was way out in front of it.
There's a lot of people get promoted, whether it's in business or education or sports, that really don't belong there. It's called the Peters Principle. But Larry Derby belonged in the major leagues with the Cleveland Indians. He played center field.
The 0-2 to Baez. Swinging strike 3, and the Otters are going to leave the bases loaded after 3 free passes loaded them up. We head to the 4th inning, still looking for run number 1. And we're ready for the top half of the 4th inning. You can kind of see it right there. The head man for the Otters, Andy McCauley, wearing that Indianapolis Clowns jersey from 1953. He is wearing it. Bobby Siegel is wearing just a little bit different look of an Indianapolis Clowns jersey as well from 1945. The Indianapolis Clowns began as a barnstorming team known for their pregame entertainment as much as their baseball skills. Once they joined the Negro American League, they focused on baseball and won the NAL title in 1950. The Clowns are best known for 3 signings: the great women's players Toni Stone and Connie Morgan, and a little youngster that is now known as Henry Aaron. First pitch for Keenan Irizarry is on the way from Ryan O'Reilly. First time up for Irizarry, he sat down via the strikeout. He was the second victim of the game at that point.
You know, let me just finish up one thing about Larry Derby. Besides being a gentleman, he was a home run hitter. He had good power. He lives in Patterson, New Jersey right now.
Irizarry has had a pretty good weekend thus far. Looking at a 2-0 count this time. Stays up high, and it's ball 3. 3-0 the count. Boy, would it be really disappointing to see O'Reilly start to lose control of some of his pitches. He's been so good thus far. The 3-0. No denying that one. That's a called strike 1. Defense playing straight up for Irizarry, except the third baseman, Taurellas, playing a little bit in, as opposed to Sinsley, who's playing way out at first. It won't matter. It's a walk for Keenan Irizarry, a leadoff walk that gets a man on here in the 4th inning for Lake Erie. It'll bring up the second baseman, Coco Figueredo. He also struck out his first time up. That started the 2nd inning.
The way the game's going, only 1 base hit. It's a pitcher's game. I would assume the batter's going to be bunting. Now let's see what that new third baseman can do. Right now he's playing back.
A look over at first for O'Reilly, and he's ready to send home the first pitch to Coco Figueredo. Oh, that one just about took the inside edge for strike 1, but instead it's willed its way in for ball one.
You know, there goes our infield playing in again. Remember how we commented about that last night?
1 ball, no strikes to Figueredo. Again works inside. This one may be a bit low as well. The count's 2-0 now from Ryan O'Reilly.
It seems like when the Otters have a possible double play situation, the shortstop and the second baseman play halfway. I'm not criticizing it. I just wonder why.
Outfield playing straight up. Figueredo standing at the plate, ready for a 2-0 count from Ryan O'Reilly, who looks down the runner on first, Irizarry, and sends home the 2-0. This one struck hard towards right field. Mcnamee with a long run. He's not going to reach it. It's off the wall. By the time he picks it up, he just misses it for a second. They're going to run the runner home. The throw home to Phillips. Absolutely got him. Great work from Andy Armstrong to keep the heads-up play, spin it, throw it home, and Phillips probably had time to, shoot a text off to someone before he made the tag there at home. Plenty of time on the throw from Andy Armstrong.
Well, I know we keep saying, or I keep saying, Armstrong's got the best arm, and it just showed how accurate he was and how versatile he was by getting that throw from Elijah, spinning and throwing a shot to Dakota.
Well, and there's another time that we see the manager there for Lake Erie, Cam Roth, instead of doing that big winding arm to send his runner home, a very small circle just near his hip. I don't know if there's a strategy to not make it big and flashy or what it is, but he's just kept it a small little motion, and they tried to sneak a runner home there. Not what I would advise doing against some of these Otters defenders who have gotten really good at those cutoff plays and making sure the second throw is accurate and hard. The shortstop Khalil last night did the same thing to a runner going to third.
Yep. I mean, that was a big out at home plate.
After a first ball foul, the second one bounces past Phillips. The count is at 1-1 now. I thought that hit the foot of Connor Owings, but I think it landed right in front of his foot. Made it tough to play for Dakota Phillips. So there's now a runner on third and 1 out. The defense will now play more in their normal spots around the infield. Outfield pretty much straight up, if not move just a tad bit to their right side. Owings a guy that can pull, and Owings a guy that can hit power as well. The 1-1 stays low for ball 2.
If I was to worry about anyone on the team in a critical situation like this, it would be this guy batting. He's been a menace to the Otters.
Pass ball is what allows Coco Figueredo to advance.
So they ruled it a pass ball?
Yeah, it's the 9th one of the year for Dakota Phillips.
What was it?
His 9th of the season.
9th.
Hard hit ball to the right side. Davis makes a throw on the backwards run. I'll tell you, that looked easy from here, but that's a tough play to make.
Well,
he almost lost the left foot from underneath him because as he was running backwards looking up is when he hit the grass and his foot wasn't expecting the change of terrain. That is a very lucky catch. That one saves a run for sure. That'll bring up the left fielder, Jake Gitter, who struck out in the second inning as well. First offering to Gitter. He hits it hard to the right side. Sinsley picks it up. He'll toss it to O'Reilly, who will step on first. What a defensive inning for the Otters. They give up a couple of scary base runners and base hits, but in the end, no runners will score, and we head to the bottom half of the 4th inning. Still scoreless here from Evansville. And it is time for the bottom half of the fourth inning. The Otters defense, the highlight of that half inning after Ryan O'Reilly had kind of been the highlight for a couple innings. And it's good to see a little bit of everything already so far in this game. The one thing left out, the Otters offense, still waiting at the bus stop to hop on the bus.
Well, let me put it this way. We ended that inning with two defensive gems. Davis at second, and I'm going to say Elijah and Armstrong.
Before we get any further, remind you that Frontier League Baseball on Flow Sports is presented by Budweiser, the king of beers. Due up in the half inning for the Otters, Steven Sinsley, Elijah Mcnamee, and J.R. Davis. None of the three have made it on base thus far. Steven Sinsley donning the Homestead Grays jersey will look to kickstart the offense here in the fourth. The defense immediately shifts to their right side. First pitch is taken for a called strike one. That one just slowly made its way home and fell in there for strike one. The 0-1 to Sinsley. Hits it hard to the right side. It's fair, and it's past the first baseman. Sinsley rounding first. The throw to second is a rocket, but not in time. Steven Sinsley with a leadoff stand-up double. A Deerhead double-decker double gives the Otters their first hit of the game in the fourth inning.
Yeah, and plus it puts a man in scoring position as well.
Tell you, that one got itself past first and then turned the turn signal on and took a hard right. That one made it very tough for the right fielder Chile to ever track down. Brings up big hit Mac, Elijah Mcnamee, who is 0 for 1 on the day with a strikeout. Mcnamee is wearing that 1939 Homestead Grays jersey. First pitch is across for a called strike one against him. The defense is playing rather shallow, especially on the outside edges, trying to keep Sinsley close at second. The 0-1, and Mcnamee's way out in front, and he falls down in the count 0-2 now. Definitely not where he wanted to be in this count. Still no outs here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Otters are going to try to do something with a leadoff double from Steven Sinsley. The 0-2. Swinging strike three, and for the second time in the game, Elijah Mcnamee sits down with a strikeout. It's the third strikeout of the day for Jason Alvarez, and it brings up the second baseman, J.R. Davis, who fouled out to the first baseman in his first at-bat. J.R. Davis needs another one of those games to kickstart his offense back up.
Yep.
Defense stays put for this at-bat. One out, runner on second. First pitch to J.R. Davis. Called strike one on the low inside edge. Outfield shifts back to all take a few steps back towards the warning track now. And here comes the 0-1 towards J.R. Davis. Sends it foul right back into the netting, and he falls down in the count 0-2. So they'll hope that J.R. Davis can keep himself defensive at the plate and, if nothing else, at least move a runner.
And there's a good case, what we just witnessed. Catcher threw it back to the pitcher, got away from the pitcher, rolled all the way to the shortstop. No infielder came to field it. the runner on second could have easily gone to third. Like everybody was asleep out there.
So 0-2 the count to J.R. Davis. Sent that way by Alvarez, and it's way high for ball one.
I think you learned when you were in grammar school, when they let you have physical education, someone must have said is always follow the ball. Wherever the ball is, that's where the game is. So when the ball got by the pitcher, the infielders, shortstop, and second should have noticed that.
Alvarez with a glance out towards second as the 1-2 comes home. Just misses near the elbows and the high inside edge.
I think it's before your time when we used to go to movies and the cartoons that they'd have follow the bouncing ball, and they'd have songs and you follow the bouncing ball. Keep your eye on the ball. That's wherever the ball is, that's where the action is.
Runner on second is Steven Sinsley. He led off the half inning with a double down the right field line. But since we've just had an Elijah Mcnamee strikeout, J.R. Davis is trying to avoid the same fate. The 2-2 to J.R. Davis. Swinging strike three on a pitch that broke low and away. They'll throw out to make it official. And it's back-to-back strikeouts for Jason Alvarez.
And the best chance the Otters had of scoring.
Brings up the catcher, Dakota Phillips, who grounded out to the pitcher his first time up, wearing the Harlem Globetrotters jersey this evening. This is an opportunity for Dakota Phillips to just lay one down in the outfield. Trust Steven Sinsley to round third and potentially score on the play.
Well, look where the shortstop's playing right now. Even if he hit a slow grounder past the pitcher, he's got a base hit.
First offering works way inside for ball one. He just barely turns out of the way. One on, two outs here in the bottom half of the fourth inning. Still scoreless from Evansville. The 1-0. Phillips lets that one go by a bit low for ball two. Of course, like I mentioned a little bit ago, relatively high-scoring day across the Frontier League. This is the final game to even start. In fact, when this game started, every other game in the Frontier League, including a doubleheader at Trois-Rivières, had all been completed already. So everyone's waiting on the Otters and the Crushers to finish up the weekends before the league takes a league-wide day off tomorrow. The 2-0 to Phillips, high outside for ball three.
Well, it's a very important game. If the Otters win, they move back into first place.
Absolutely. And of course, we got to see Washington and Schaumburg face off this week. Right away, Washington turns around and they get to host this Lake Erie team who's starting to get some good form into them. So, going to be a good series between Lake Erie and Washington, I think. A 3-0 misses high, and it's a 4-pitch walk to Dakota Phillips. And there's runners on first and second with 2 outs as the shortstop Andy Armstrong heads up. Andy Armstrong wearing one of those New York Black Yankees jerseys. His last at-bat lasted just 1 pitch. The right idea, not quite the right execution. Just barely got underneath that bunt and ended up flying out or popping out or bunting out to the third baseman, however you want to put it. Wouldn't be surprised to see him return to that tactic at some point in this game, though. Runners on first and second with 2 outs here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Still scoreless. Pitch on the way, misses outside for ball one. Of course, I mentioned that Lake Erie and Washington going to face this Tuesday through Thursday. Sussex is headed to Ottawa for the 3-game set. Trois-Rivières on their way to Tri-City. Empire State headed to Yogi Berra Stadium to face the New Jersey Jackals. New York headed to Quebec for 3 games. Schaumburg headed to Gateway for a trio. Windy City headed to Joliet. High and inside, Armstrong actually falls over trying to get out of the way, and both runners are going to advance on the wild pitch.
I'll agree with that one, and I thought he actually got hit. He was very, very lucky, Armstrong. Now, was it the Jersey Jackals that are playing at Yogi Berra Stadium?
Yeah.
Okay. That's in Montclair, New Jersey. Now, do we play there at all?
Not this year. New Jersey played here to open the season.
Okay.
So next year, the Otters will head there.
I know I told my daughters who live in Jersey, and they said we didn't find it in the schedule.
2-0 the count to Andy Armstrong now. Takes a pitch just above the elbows for a called strike 1. They won't play there at New Jersey, but they will play at Sussex County, another team there in that area.
Yeah, we will be playing there in Sussex County?
Yeah, right there after the All-Star break on July 22nd through the 24th.
Okay.
Popped up by Armstrong and it ends up getting out of play.
Well, let me give you a piece of advice. When you get to Jersey, don't rent a car and don't get on the roadway because the roads are jammed, and the Jersey drivers, they belong in those wreck games, you know, where when those cars get there and whoever survives all the wrecks, that's Jersey.
The 2-2 and extending the hands as Armstrong. He sits down on the strikeout. And for the second straight inning, the Otters leave runners at second and third. We head to the 5th inning, still looking for a run from Bosse Field. Top of the 5th, coming at you here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Pleased you're joining us on a beautiful Sunday evening for baseball. But right now, neither offense really kick-starting it into gear yet. The Otters have a great chance there, but come up empty-handed for the second straight inning. Due up for the Crushers will be their 7-8-9 hitters of Devin Fisher, Bryant Flotay, and Sean Cheeley. They will lead off with the catcher, Devin Fisher. Fisher is donning that Chicago American Giants jersey from 1926. All black jersey with little white pinstripes all the way through it. Starts with the ball 1, and here comes the 1-0 count towards him. Just barely catches the outside edge of the zone on the off speed, even in the count at a ball and a strike. Defense playing a bit towards the outsides. The 1-1 to Fisher. He thinks about going around, and it's a called strike 2 on him. Way out, really far outside pitch, but it just must have caught a little for the eye of home plate umpire Trey Hudson. The 1-2 to Fisher. Swinging strike 3 for the first time in a couple innings. Ryan O'Reilly picks up a strikeout, his 8th German American Bank strikeout of the game. Before this game, the most strikeouts he had in a single game this year was 8, all the way back against Quebec, back on the 21st of May. He's even that totaled this evening. First offering towards him, and Flotay swings almost out of the shoes on that pitch.
You know, I read your release about last night's game. I didn't realize it, and I just checked it right now, and the box score. I did not realize that we had struck out 15 times last night.
It didn't feel like we did.
No, that's what was surprised me when I read that you had mentioned 15 strikeouts. I said, I was at the game, and I don't remember that many.
Yeah, it didn't feel like 15, but when you added them all up, there they were.
Yep.
A 1-1 curve just barely catches the outside edge. Didn't have a lot of break to it, but it ended up doing the job.
Yep. There was only, well, there was 1, 2, 3. 3 batters struck out more than once.
The 1-2 to Flotay. Just misses on the inside edge near the ankles. Count it evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes for him. Unsurprisingly, we start to see an Otter not throw at all. He's just getting the bands out and stretching it towards the bullpen as O'Reilly's nearing 90 pitches. Just got to be careful that you don't leave him in too long. The 2-2 for him. Right back up the middle, just missing it is O'Reilly, and it's through for a base hit. Man, O'Reilly almost got a glove on that, just kind of throwing it up behind his back. Brings up the 9-hole hitter, right fielder Sean Cheeley, who advanced on a walk in the 3rd inning, was stranded at first. Long wait up there on the mound for Ryan O'Reilly. Glances over towards first and sends the first pitch to Cheeley, who goes right back up the middle. Davis just misses it, and it's through for another base hit. Back-to-back one-out base hits for the Crushers. Have runners on first and second. Otters ought to be happy that Bryant Flotay wasn't able to make that all the way to third. So back to the top of the order for Lake Erie, the center fielder Austin White, who's 1 for 2 with a single in the first and was robbed of an RBI double out there in right field by Elijah Mcnamee there in the 3rd inning.
That belonged on ESPN Sports.
First pitch to Austin White. Did he take it off the toe? No, it ended up getting past him, and both runners will advance. A lot of free bases given up for all sorts of opportunities thus far in this game. And Austin White's RBI chance looks just like the last time it did. 2 runners on, 1 out. Solid base hit could do some damage for the Crushers. And in a night that feels like this, those 2 runs could be all it takes.
Maybe 1 run, the way things are going.
1-0 the count to Austin White. Swinging strike 1 evens the count at a ball and a strike.
As one of my old managers, Travis Jackson, used to say, don't worry about 1 run because you need 1 run to score to win anyway. So, but 2 runs, that's different.
1-1 the count to Austin White. Oh, man. The curve just missed on the outside edge.
See, now I thought that strike zone was squeezed on that one.
1 out, runners on second and third for Austin White. This game still looking for its first run of the game. Great chance for the Crushers to be the one who do it. The 2-1 sent back into the netting, and we're even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. So the sun finally starting to cover about half of the infield, still making it very tough for especially those on the right side. First baseman Sinsley, second baseman Davis, Gordon out in center, Mcnamee out in right. Those are the ones really struggling with the sun right now. 2-2 the count to Austin White. O'Reilly sends it his way. Works inside, and the count is full.
Well, earlier in the game, you alluded to the sun was a few feet around home plate. Now it's edging to the mound. So the pitcher's releasing it. You're looking at a white ball that's coming out of the pitcher's hand, but once he releases it, it's no longer a pearl white.
The 3-2 to Whites. Skies it out towards left. It's going to be rather shallow and foul, and it's hauled in by Taurellas for the second out.
That's a big, big out. A big, big out.
That'll bring up the designated hitter Jackson Valera, who's 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts so far. Donning the gold and navy Kansas City Monarchs jersey. Ryan O'Reilly taking his time up there on the mounds and sitting at home towards Valera, who thinks about going around, taking it for ball 1 though. Defense seems to be playing pretty much straight up, all but the exception being Taurellas, who was trying to stick a little bit close to third base. Outfield in their normal spots. The 1-0, called strike 1, evens the count at a ball and a strike. Good work from O'Reilly to attack the zone.
You know, the way O'Reilly's pitching with all these strikeouts, I haven't seen Mr. Biermann make any play in the outfield yet out there. I don't know if he could catch a fly ball or not. We haven't seen him. I'm quite sure he can, but.
The 1-1 to Valera. Misses way outside. O'Reilly a bit frustrated after that throw. Big opportunity for the Crushers here. Maybe an even bigger chance for Ryan O'Reilly to keep this game where it's at. The 2-1. Sent right back up the middle, off of the glove of O'Reilly. Taurellas will pick it up. The throw, no, he will hold on to it. And an infield single is going to allow a run to score. Jackson Valera picks up the game's first RBI.
Now, did that hit off his foot or does that come off the glove?
See, I think he tried to use the glove, but I think it went off his leg in the end.
Ricocheted. So, one of the misfortunes of sports.
But 2 runs probably score if that gets past him into center field.
Well, that's true.
So what if at this point? Runners on the corners with 2 outs, and now Lake Erie with a 1-0 advantage. Sent towards Davis. He plays it on a couple hops to first for the final out, but not before Lake Erie scores the game's first run on an RBI single from Jackson Valera. After 4.5, it's Lake Erie 1, Evansville 0. And it's time for the bottom half of the 5th inning of this ball game. Lake Erie finally able to score the game's first run on an RBI single from the designated hitter Jackson Valera. And that is the difference so far in this one. Sticking up on the mound is Jason Alvarez, rightfully so. He has been very good for the Crushers so far. Due up to start the half inning for the Otters will be the third baseman Anthony Taurellas, who reached on a hit by pitch back in the 3rd inning, his first at bat for the Otters. Defense is playing him straight up with the outside infielders playing a little bit further in. Inside infielders playing back towards the outfield grass. Like usual, this outfield playing very deep. First pitch Taurellas sees is a fastball low and inside. He's caught swinging. Taurellas, then Miles Gordon and Zack Biermann here in the bottom half of the 5th. The 0-1, Taurellas lifts it up and foul, and he's quickly down to the count 0-2. Quickly back into the box is Anthony Taurellas, looking at an 0-2 count. The 0-2 works high and inside on him. Otters had a couple of men in between the inning break, just starting to stretch a little bit out there in the bullpen. Neither actually threw a pitch yet, so they seem to be happy with Ryan O'Reilly for the time being. Ball escapes outside, and the count evens at 2-2 for Taurellas.
Well, let's look at that run that scored. It was just a misfortune that it hit the glove and ankle or shoe, and otherwise, if that goes through, I think they would have got the force at second.
So the count now 2-2 for Taurellas. Sent high and foul to the right side. Owings is going to chase after it in foul territory, but it will end up on the roof of Bosse Field here.
I think you've seen it watching enough baseball that sometimes the pitcher attempts to field the ground ball and it ricochets or deflects off his body or arm and might have gone through up the middle, but now the second and shortstop are covered and back a second, and it floats into where they were normally, and the guy's on with a base hit.
Just one of those unfortunate pieces of the game of baseball. Two to the count to Anthony Taurellas. Ahead of one, and it actually ends up bouncing into the catcher, Fisher. So Taurellas will live to see another pitch. Tell you what, we haven't got to see a ton of Anthony Taurellas yet, but if this at-bat is any indication of what you get from him, gotta like that. He's a guy who's going to be gritty in the box and fight in the at-bat.
Well, he may be the pitch hitter that you might need coming off that bench, because we were talking about that last night.
When you have no idea of his potential right now, he's fresh out of college, trying to prove himself. The 2-2 to Taurellas. Back into the netting, and he lives to see another one. He is single-handedly working up the pitch count of Jason Alvarez here to start off the 5th inning. The 2-2 sent to the left side sharply. Irizarry is right there. He misplays it. There will be no throw. An error on Keenan Irizarry has allowed Anthony Taurellas to reach. Well, a little pro and con. On the good side, he's made it on base both times he's had an opportunity.
Yeah.
The downside, neither of them officially hits quite yet. But doesn't really matter how you get there as long as you're on base with no outs. It gives the guys after you a chance, and this is a dangerous part of the lineup to come up. Miles Gordon and Zack Biermann, the next two. Gordon has home runs in 2 straight games. including last night's bottom of the ninth game-tying home run that almost left the brick wall of Bosse Field out there. Quickly, Jason Alvarez steps off and glances over there at Taurellas. I'm going to say it just like I did the last time he was out there. We don't know the extent of Taurellas' speed. We haven't got to see him utilize it yet. And I think that's in the mind of Jason Alvarez as well, as he really doesn't know what to expect back there. Hard hit by Gordon. Gets through for a base hit. Taurellas rounding second. They're going to send him home. Picked up by the center fielder White. The relay. No, they're not going to throw it. The Otters score their first run and tie the game at 1. Man, good to see Anthony Taurellas get on his horse and go.
You were wondering how fast he was. He just showed you. But in the meantime, I'll tell you what, more gold stars belong to that Mr. Gordon. He seems to be a pressure ball player.
And that just barely snuck by Figueroa, who dove after it, missed it by just that much. He turned it into a double, really cranking the legs around. And as a pitcher, just when you think it might get easier on you, Zack Biermann walks to the plate. He's 0 for 1 on the day with a ground out and a walk. Biermann still leads the Frontier League in home runs with 11. He sits all alone at the top. First pitch, he puts it out into right field. Down for a base hit. Rounding third is Miles Gordon. And it's back-to-back RBI base hits for the Otters, and they take the lead. Zack Biermann, a big-time player making big-time plays, has just given the Otters the lead.
What's the old expression? Don't count your chickens until they lay their eggs, or don't count your eggs until the chickens lay, or whatever it is.
Jeffrey Baez, the next batter for the Otters. He made it on bases last time with his first time up on an error, but he was caught stealing second.
The Otters had one hit, no runs, and here back-to-back base hits, and you're now in the lead.
And it started off with Anthony Taurellas working really hard at the plate to get his chance to get on base. Hard hit ball at Irizarry forced an error, and he earned his way on.
Well, the error at short reminded me of Templeton, the shortstop for the San Diego Padres. One of the smoothest infielders you ever want to watch in fielding a ground ball. But you know, they're so smooth. They make making an error look good.
So 1-1 the count towards Jeffrey Baez. A runner on first in the form of Zack Biermann, who just brought in the go-ahead run for the Otters. 1-1, and Baez does a good job to lay it off. That was a nice pitch. It had lots of movement. Movement waited till the last second to really jet over.
Good movement on it, and that is a pitch that Baez generally swings at. He goes chasing it, I should say.
The 2-1 to Jeffrey Baez. Clips one back into the netting, and the count evens up at 2-2. Flag is moving quite a bit out there in center field, but it's blowing straight in from center field. That's always a little bit of a scare when we know we're going to have fireworks, because that usually means that all of the, the embers falling down come our way.
The fragments.
Yeah. I'm hoping that the Otters and Crushers can make this game last long enough that it'll actually be dark for fireworks. Otherwise, we might have a strange fireworks show. A very high, shallow ball from Baez, and he will be retired on the pop out to the second baseman.
However, did you notice Baez's reaction to what he did? The bat boy just picked the bat up now.
It was a frustration bat throw there.
That was the word I was just going to use. Frustration. But I know I've been accused of being criticizing, but again, he hit off the back foot, and anyone that knows baseball hitting, when you dip that shoulder, they're nothing but high pop-ups.
Steven Sinsley goes against the shift, down for a base hit along the left field line. Biermann's going to advance to third, and it's back-to-back doubles for Steven Sinsley. Hit number 250 of the career for Steven Sinsley comes in his 300th ball game played as a professional.
He is he was one of the hotter hitters in the league in the beginning, and then he kind of tailed off, but now he kind of resumed that. He found the strike zone and come through with many a good home run and base hits.
I'll be honest, there was a point at Sinsley's game where he was struggling at the plate, and we had all kind of thought up here that the consistency that Biermann and Phillips brought as a first baseman or DH said if Sinsley can find the consistent batting, there's almost not a place in the lineup for him.
That's
then
right.
He turned a corner and ever since has been very hot at the plate.
And he's been playing first. So then you force Biermann to left and Phillips the third.
The whole infield is playing very shallow for Elijah Mcnamee. He's looking at a 1-0. Takes it outside, and the count evens at a ball and a strike.
Now look where that shortstop is playing.
It's hard to tell with all the different jerseys out there, but it's a very shallow infield.
They're playing on the grass, and they're leaving a hole up the middle. You just get that past the pitcher, and you got a base hit.
The 2-0 for Elijah Mcnamee. Lets it go up high for ball 3. Otters have taken a 2-1 lead, and Elijah Mcnamee would like to be the one to extend it for the Otters. There is a man warming up for Lake Erie out there in left. .3-0 the count to Mcnamee. Swinging strike one. Big swing there. And here we see Jason Alvarez take his time and start to slow down between a couple pitches. Time is taken as you see Elijah McNamee's shoulders rise and fall as he takes a deep breath. It's Carter Hayes warming up for the Crushers out there in left. The 3-1 to McNamee. Skied high and foul to the right side. He's looking at a full count.
It was kind of late on that swing.
Well, it was the first time we've seen Alvarez really bring it with a little bit of a quicker pitch as well. Defense playing very shallow in the infield, quite deep in the outfield. All McNamee has to do is lay it out there, and he could have 2 RBIs. The 3-2 up high, the bases are loaded. Tell you what, this was a unreal day for Jason Alvarez on the mound. He was working through innings really efficiently, and now he might be getting pulled from this game after a very tough 5th inning for him. Making the walk out there is the pitching coach, James Keller. Got a good look there of Billy Easley, the first base coach for the Otters, there on your screen. For Billy Easley, he's wearing the 1935 Homestead Grays jersey alongside J.R. Davis. They're both wearing the same familiar jersey there. Grays, of course, playing their games at Pittsburgh's Forbes Field, but they took their name from their small suburb of Homestead, Pennsylvania. And the Homestead Grays became one of the most well-known Negro League teams in all the years of them.
And listening to you describe the players, you just finished and said that the last player played at Forbes Field. You mentioned Yankee Stadium. You mentioned Washington. That means they were playing in major league ballparks. That itself is something unusual.
Well, they do end up leaving Jason Alvarez in, but it could have been a "you've got one batter to prove yourself" talk.
Your infield moved back for the double play, but they're still playing halfway.
First pitch to J.R. Davis, who's 0 for 2 in this game. Takes a called strike one on the high inside corner. Letter high with the fastball there. Bases are loaded with 1 out. Otters have already taken the lead in the half inning.
1-run lead is not safe.
Absolutely not. The 0-1 to J.R. Davis. Whoa, way inside. He's able to get out of the way in time. The count evens up at a ball and a strike. Wind shifting yet again. It's now blowing in from right field instead of in from center field. J.R. Davis can pull something hard enough to the left side. That wind might give him a little bit of help. He's looking at a 1-1 count. Pitch just glides towards the outside edge and falls in for strike 2.
Beautiful breaking pitch. You can see JR was looking for the fastball.
So Davis falls back in the count 1-2 now. Bases are loaded. Mcnamee at first, Sinsley at second, Biermann at third. The 1-2 works further outside, and Davis just barely keeps himself composed on that pitch.
I'll say that looked too good to pass up.
That's a wonderful pitch from Jason Alvarez. It starts looking like it's going to come hit you in the zone, and then at the very last second, it takes a hard turn. 2-2 the count to J.R. Davis. Whoa, way high and inside. Second pitch he's seen like that in the at-bat. Of course, the last time he took a pitch high and inside, Alvarez came back with the breaking pitch towards the outside of the plate that looked like it was too far out, so maybe another little bit of mind games there. So the count is full with 1 out to J.R. Davis, and he'll call time. Finally, Davis climbs back into the box. Jason Alvarez has his sign. Bases loaded. Full count to J.R. Davis. Pitch on the way. Misses high outside. Ball 4, and a run comes home for free.
You know, and I was a little surprised that umpire didn't say strike 3, because when JR assumed and took off, and umpire was a little hesitant.
So it brings in Zack Biermann, moves Sinsley to third, Mcnamee to second. Davis takes first, and the catcher Dakota Phillips heads to the plate.
And there's some words from the dugout to the umpire, too, and so I guess they weren't pleased with that call either.
Dakota Phillips to the plate now. Big opportunity for him with 1 out and the bases loaded. Everything is insurance from here on out in the inning for the Otters, and you can never have too much of that. First pitch to Phillips. Hefty swing, and he was just a bit short on it. 0-1 the count.
That gap between short and third is 2 semis could pass each other right there.
No balls, 1 strike to the catcher Dakota Phillips. Jason Alvarez sends it home. Just misses on the inside edge, and the count evens up.
I think if Dakota gets on, this guy's finished.
You've got to think so at this point. Still unable to pick up a second out at this point. And this is what the Otters have been due for all weekend long, is getting after a pitcher in a singular inning and really making one inning hard, which is something they've done well in these last couple of weeks. They just didn't do it this weekend yet. The 1-1 to Phillips. Swinging strike two on a pitch that broke out of the zone. Davis at first, Mcnamee at second, Sinsley at third. And a big chance for Dakota Phillips to bring one or more home. The 1-2, way outside, a great stop by Fisher to keep it in front of him. Yeah, I have to say I do feel just a little bit bad for both of these starting pitchers. These jerseys are heavy material because they're made to be like replicas that were worn by the Negro League players, and they are certainly not the soft, clear material that's flows easily on your body. It's heavy up there on the mound for them.
Well, it's nice that you say that. But how about me? I wore those same uniforms. I mean, not the Negro ones, but all of our uniforms in those days were full 100% cotton.
Yeah.
They took 5 pounds extra on your body,
and you sweat just a little bit in one of those, and it just increases your weight by 10 or 15.
Right, and we never complained. We didn't know any different. They didn't have rayon and whatever else they have today.
3-2 to Phillips. He launches it to left center field. Getter towards the wall.
Grand
Gone!
slam.
4 runs will score for the Otters on the third grand slam of the year. The first one for Dakota Phillips. And off go the fireworks.
And I just noticed something. We always keep saying, Mom, look up and thank the good Lord for that, whatever Dakota did. Right before Dakota put his foot on home plate, he looked up into the sky and he pointed and he more or less said, thank you. Now that I appreciate.
Well, that'll do it for Jason Alvarez. A pitching change needed. We'll let you know who it is right after this. Otters have taken a 7-1 lead here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Well, we're still in the bottom of the 5th inning. Otters have exploded for 7 runs and have a 7-1 lead. It's caused a pitching change. Carter Hayes will have to be the one to come in. But first, let's get one more look on the plate again replay from Dakota Phillips, sending one over the tailor-made sign and left for a grand slam, the 3rd one of the year for the Otters, the first one for Dakota Phillips. Carter Hayes, the new man on the mound. This call to the bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Hayes on the mound, Fisher behind the plate. That pitcher catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000. Hayes is wearing an Indianapolis Clowns jersey up there on the mound. The only blue jersey you'll see from Lake Erie. Everything else is pretty much either gray or black. And due up is the shortstop Andy Armstrong, who's 0 for 2 with a foul or a bunt pop-up out in the third inning and a strikeout in the fourth. Carter Hayes, formerly of the Gateway Grizzlies, there making appearance number 4 on the season. The 0-2 way inside, and Armstrong is able to get out of the way of it. For a long time in this game, it kind of felt like 1 or 2 runs might be enough to win the game. Well, how about 7 for you? Good insurance runs for the Otters. Another pitch works high. They say no, he did not go around, so the count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes for Andy Armstrong.
That's what I'm looking for right now.
2-2 the count to Andy Armstrong with 1 out here. He watches it go a little bit high and outside for ball 3. And Andy Armstrong looking to keep this half inning going for the Otters. It's sent back into the netting, and he stays alive on a full count pitch. Again, Andy Armstrong wearing a New York Black Yankees jersey for this evening's game. Armstrong's is a Black Yankees jersey from 1935. And he takes ball 4 and will head to first for free, extending this long 5th inning. That's a Deerhead Sidewalk, Cafe and Bar. And for the second time this inning, Anthony Taurellas steps to the plate. Taurellas reached on an error, came around to score on the RBI double from Miles Gordon. He really had the wheels moving on that play. Armstrong with a very small lead over on first. And it stays pretty far inside on Taurellas for ball 1. Taurellas stands 5'10", 190 out of Loyola, Pennsylvania. Played 4 years for East Stroudsburg University in Division II NCAA. Hard swinging strike 1 evens his count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Infield playing about halfway, looking for a double play ball here. The 1-1. Put to the right side, through for a base hit. Into the bullpen of the Otters. And staying at third is going to be Andy Armstrong. The first career professional base hit for Anthony Taurellas is a double. A big congratulations to Taurellas getting his first professional base hit. And it's a Deerhead double-decker double that extends this long 5th inning for the Otters. That'll bring up the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Miles Gordon. Miles Gordon had a RBI double that brought in the first run of this 5th inning for the Otters. This is his second chance in the inning. First pitch he sees, catches the outside edge for a called strike 1. Runners on second and third for Evansville. It's the 0-1 since gets sent back into the netting. 0-2 now the counts for Miles Gordon. Defense is trying to keep Taurellas kind of close out there at second. Other than that, they're playing pretty far in on the outsides. The second baseman playing all the way out in shallow right field. The 0-2, and Gordon shoots it out towards right. Cheely chasing back towards the wall, and it bounces right in front of the wall. 2 runs are going to score on another RBI double from Miles Gordon, his second one of the inning. Everything going the Otters' way. And the lead hits 8. They've scored all 9 runs right here in the 5th inning. That'll bring up Zack Biermann, who's 1 for 2 with an RBI single in the 5th. Gordon standing up there on second base with his second RBI double of the inning. It brings up Zack Biermann, who earlier in this same 5th inning had an RBI single. He extends on one and fouls it off to the left side for his first strike. A lot of things to be positive about in this inning already. Otters finally exploded offensively in this series. The 0-1 to Biermann. Oh, way out in front of it and ends up fouling it into his foot. Well, in a crazy inning like this, it's tough to pinpoint a favorite moment, but it's hard to not choose the almost RBI double from Anthony Taurellas to get his first professional hit. A nice double down the right field line.
Well, earlier you were talking about Ryan O'Reilly, how he's done pretty good.
0-2 from Biermann, shot out towards right field. It drops. Around comes Gordon from second, and he will score on an RBI double from Zack Biermann. 10 runs now in the bottom of the 5th inning. A double-decker double gives the Otters double digits in the inning.
I was going to say earlier you were talking about Ryan O'Reilly pitching outstanding but never getting the support. I think he got plenty of support today.
I tell you what, he might not be in a form to keep throwing with how long he sat down there in the bolt in the dugout.
Yeah.
It brings up Jeffrey Baez, who is 0 for 3 so far in this game. Reached on an error in the first, was caught stealing. Then he struck out and popped out in his last 2 opportunities. Biermann at second, Baez at home. Takes the first pitch high, 4-1. I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen the Otters start to warm someone up. They must think O'Reilly's going to be able to keep the arm alive whenever he's able to get back out there in this inning. The 1-0 to Baez, that's sent right back into the netting.
Well, according to my records, this is the 5th inning, is it not?
Yeah.
Therefore, he officially is the winning pitcher if the score was to stay the way it is. I would say I'd give him another inning, but I'd have someone warm up because no one else is, as you said.
Pitch gets through the legs of Fisher, and Biermann will take third. And the guys in the bullpen are just as warmed up as O'Reilly is right now. The arm's just been sitting dormant down there.
Yeah.
It's possible he's gone down into the tunnel and done some stretches just to keep the arm alive. But, I haven't taken an exact look, but to my guess, I'd say we've probably been in this half inning for 30 minutes. The Otters have gone through now 12 batters in this inning alone.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Baez looking at a 2-1 count. A runner at third in the form of Zack Biermann. The pitch stays low. Baez is ahead 3-1 in the counts.
Earlier you said the starting pitcher Alvarez couldn't get the second out. They still haven't gotten the second out.
The lone out came on a pop-up from Jeffrey Baez.
Yes.
Hard hit ball to the left side, through for another base hit. An RBI single for Jeffrey Baez gives the Otters 11 runs in the 5th inning.
So we went from like 1 hit prior to this inning to now 11.
It has been an offensive explosion for the Otters. So now the first baseman, Steven Sinsley, makes the walk up. He has doubles in his last 2 at-bats, his last one coming in this same 5th inning. First pitch to Sinsley. Stays a bit low for ball 1. Baez, the only runner on now, he's at first. Sinsley looking at a 1-0. That one gets away from the catcher Fisher yet again. Another runner will get a free base.
I tell you, what is the old expression? When it rains, it pours.
When it rains, it pours. Absolutely.
And I mean, here, pass balls, base hit, double, home run.
I mean, this was such a solid game for Jason Alvarez.
Yes.
He was so good.
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Another called strike. And this one takes the count to 2-1 for Steven Sinsley.
Now, Simpson got that double down the left field wall, left field line. Kind of started this.
Hard hit to the right side. Another base hit. Baez is going to stay at third, and there's runners on the corners still with just 1 out.
And I'm going to say this. I'm going to give Andy a gold star for simply holding the runner. I mean, why pour salt in the wound?
Absolutely.
You got to.
Because now it's a sure thing on a base hit.
Right. 11-1 lead. You're only pounding salt by making it a 12-1 lead.
But with the way that some of the relievers have had innings this year, you can't trust the lead of any amount.
I'll grant you that. But at this situation, that's what we got.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Right. We got to play it this way.
Elijah Mcnamee back up to the plate. His first time in this inning, he walked, came around to score on that grand slam of Dakota Phillips. Mcnamee, with that walk, has now reached base safely in 25 straight games. The 1-0 chases it a little bit to the outside edge. The count evens at a ball and a strike. Sinsley at first, Baez over there at third. Big hit Mac at the plate. The off speed gets hit sharply towards Irizarry to second for 1, to first in time, and in the most impossible way, the inning ends in a double play. But not until 11 runs score for the Otters. They lead by 10 as we head to the 6th inning. The first man out of the dugout is Ryan O'Reilly, ready to keep going on the mound. We've got the 6th for you right after this.
And so
To the top of the 6th inning we go, and the Otters are now up 11-1 after a very impressive 5th inning that they were able to hop on top of this Lake Erie pitching staff and finally be the ones who got to have some offensive fun. Ryan O'Reilly is sticking up there on the mound for the Otters, ready to continue in this game. He's at 99 pitches as of right now. Coco Figueredo will kick off the 6th inning for Lake Erie. He is 1 for 2 with a double and a strikeout so far in this game. First pitch stays, or actually catches the high outside edge for a called strike 1 against Coco Figueredo. The 0-1, works way inside and ends up hitting both Figueredo and Phillips. The ball went off Figueredo and then hit Phillips in a place he wasn't guarded by his chest protector. So a double hit by pitch there from Ryan O'Reilly on the mound. Ends up with a runner on first. Brings up the first baseman, Connor Owings, who's 0 for 2 with a lineout and a strikeout. His lineout came with 2 runners in scoring position, but he wasn't able to grab either. Defense playing pretty much straight up outside of Sinsley, trying to keep the runner close at first. Outfield straight up as well. First offering to Owings. Catches the outside edge yet again, a called strike 1. After Owings, Jake Gitter will have another attempt for the Crushers. Owings and Gitter are 2 that have had successful weekends thus far. The 0-1. Again, catching the outside edge is O'Reilly, and he's ahead in the count 0-2. Looking like second inning Ryan O'Reilly right now, where he struck out the side. It's been a great afternoon and evening for baseball here. Temperature was in the mid-80s all day today. We got to celebrate with both Millennium Steel and Evansville African American Museum for Salute to the Negro Leagues Museum nights here. And that's why all the jerseys are a little bit special for all these players out there. Connor Owings able to foul one off and keep himself alive at an 0-2. A very small lead right now for Coco Figueredo. As O'Reilly fires home the 0-2, works way outside for ball 1. I don't think the Otters are now, at this point, worried at Figueredo at all over there at first. And why should you? Just get in the groove here and grab outs left and right. That's all you need left in this game. The 1-2 to Connor Owings. Hefty swinging strike 3. And that is the 9th German American Bank strikeout of the game for Ryan O'Reilly. O'Reilly finally with a really solid night up there on the mound. That's now his season high in strikeouts. And after getting that out, it's now his season long appearance at 5 1/3 inning. And he's well on his way to picking up his second win of the year that would put him at 2-2. Pitch on the way, hit sharply towards Sinsley. What a snag to second for 1, to first. Got it. Oh, man. A 3-6-3 double play ends the inning for the Crushers. Exactly what the Otters needed to get out of it. And we head to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Otters lead by 10. Want to remind you that Frontier League Baseball and Flow Sports is presented by Old National Bank, your bank for Evansville, your bank for life. Otters lead by 10 after a 11-run inning in the fifth, where they scored 11 runs on 9 hits, highlighted by a Dakota Phillips grand slam. Don't worry, though, they didn't have to fire too many fireworks off for it. Still planning on post-game fireworks after this game, and that inning might have helped get us far enough into the evening where it might actually be dark by the time fireworks are going off. We were making really good time before it. Carter Hayes returns to the mound for Lake Erie as we get set for this bottom of the sixth inning. He'll face J.R. Davis, Dakota Phillips, and Andy Armstrong. First pitch from Davis is skied high and foul right back behind home. Of course, all of the games in the league have already been played except for ours. So all I can tell you is that, oh my, J.R. Davis skies one out towards left. Chasing back is Gitter towards the wall and hauls it in on the warning track. Good run from Gitter to bring that one in. It brings up the catcher Dakota Phillips now, who's 1 for 2 with that grand slam. With the Wild Things loss, the only way the Otters end up underneath Washington at the end of the night is with a loss in this game. As long as they do things right, they should go on to win this and will retake this first spot atop the West Division. Joliet will maintain the third spot. Schaumburg maintains the fifth spot. Gateway jumps Windy City to take the fifth place spot. Lake Erie and Florence round out the bottom two. As for the East Division, Ottawa retains their lead atop the East Division with a half game on Quebec. Hefty swing from Dakota Phillips has him even at a ball and a strike. Sussex County and New York round out the top four like they did coming into the day. The only difference is that New Jersey and Trois-Rivières have swapped once again. They're in the standings. It's now Tri-City, Trois-Rivières, New Jersey, and Empire State rounding out the East Division. Hard hit to the right side by Phillips. It's another base hit for him. And that will now bring up the shortstop, Andy Armstrong, who's 0 for 2, looking for his first big opportunity. Armstrong had a great idea his first time up, but had a bunt pop out to the third baseman, Flotay. Empire State, with their loss, drops to 0-31 on the season, meaning that they have tied the Brooklyn Atlantics 1875 record. Yes, almost 150 years old record for losses in a row in professional American baseball. 2-0 is the count to Andy Armstrong. Looking for his first base hit of the game. Swings at a pitch that breaks way outside. And he's still ahead in the count, however, at 2-1. As of right now, there are 3 Otters still looking for their first base hit in the game. Armstrong's 1, Davis is 1, and Mcnamee is 1. A foul ball evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes for Andy Armstrong. Armstrong with a hefty swing will sit down with a strikeout, his second of the day. And that's the first strikeout for Carter Hayes. That'll bring up the third baseman, Anthony Taurellas, who has reached base all 3 times tonight, but officially is just 1 for 2, his double in that long 5th inning. was good for his first professional base hit. Quite the one to get it on. Hefty hit to the right side. Sheely will chase after it and haul it in right field for the third out of the inning. And after 6 full innings, it's Otters 11, Lake Erie 1 here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Ready for the top half of the 7th inning. Ryan O'Reilly returns to the mound for the Otters. He will face Devin Fisher, Bryant Flotay, and Sean Sheely. Devin Fisher is 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts so far in the game. One swing and one looking. Starts him with a called strike one. The 0-1 for Fisher. Chopped foul to the left side. Brought in by Taurellas, but it won't really matter as it was plenty foul. Still no one warming up for the Otters. Good to see Ryan O'Reilly working deep into a game. By far the most pitches he's thrown this year, with pitch 110 coming at you now. The 0-2 is sent on the ground towards Armstrong. Plays on a couple hops to first in plenty of time for out number 1. That will bring up the 8-hole hitter, third baseman Bryant Flotay, who's 1 for 1 with a single and a walk so far in this game. Flotay takes his time to dig into that left-handed hitter batter's box. First pitch to him on the way. Catches the zone on the outside edge for a called strike one. O'Reilly looking really solid now. The 0-1 works outside, and the count evens up at a ball and a strike. Wide open batting stance there for Bryant Flotay. The 1-1, and he lifts it high and foul to the left side. Chasing after is Taurellas, and he will let it go out of play. Still a lot to go on here this evening. Got to finish this game out. Then they will have the post-game fireworks, and then I believe they're still doing kids running the bases and autographs after the game. They might swap the order of those two just to make sure it gets dark enough for fireworks. I'm not quite sure yet. 1-2 works inside for ball 2. The count evens up at 2-2. Don't forget that the team heads on the road for the next week. They're at Florence Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then at Lake Erie Friday, Saturday, Sunday next week. In about a week and a half's time on that Tuesday night, they come home for a 3-game set against Joliet. Flotay pushes it out towards center. Gordon doesn't have to move very far at all and brings it in for out number 2. That will bring up the 9-hole hitter, right fielder Sean Cheeley. Cheeley is 1 for 1 with a single and a walk as well, but he's been stranded on base both times. First pitch to him. He extends the hands and fouls it back into the netting. Falls down in the count 0-1. Defense playing pretty much in the way they were designed to, straight up, infield and outfield. The 0-1. Cheeley sends it out towards shallow center field. Gordon with a long run in, and it drops right in front of him for a 2-out base hit for Sean Cheeley, his second base hit of the game. And with that, we head to the top of the order where the center fielder Austin White heads to the plate. He's 1 for 3 in the game with a single in the first inning, but then he was caught stealing second moments later and took away that opportunity. White has become a really positive hitter on this Lake Erie squad since joining them just a few weeks ago. First offering to him is a called strike 1. O'Reilly nearing the 120 pitch mark. Has no signs of fatigue out there. The 0-1. That one sent sharply to the left side, through for a base hit, and it's back-to-back 2-out base hits, which will give the designated hitter Jackson Valera an opportunity with a couple on. Valera is 1 for 3 with an RBI single in the 5th and 2 strikeouts earlier in the game. A glance out to the outfield by Sean Cheeley, just kind of taking a look at where everyone is out there as he wanders away from second base. Runners on first and second with 2 outs as Ryan O'Reilly throws it home to Valera. Push to the right side, through for another base hit. Rounding third is going to be Sean Cheeley. The throw in by Mcnamee. Is it in time? Not quite. Phillips just didn't quite get back down to earth to make the tag in time. Very close play. And that is an RBI base hit for the second time for Jackson Valera. And with that, the Otters will get Tyler Spring up and starting to warm up out there in right field. The first pitch to Irizarry from O'Reilly. Ooh, off speed, glazed in there. Really took its time making its way to the strike zone and catches Irizarry staring for a called strike 1. Runners on first and second, still 2 outs here in the 7th inning. The 0-1 falls out of the zone and evens the count at a ball and a strike. Tyler Spring is the man warming out in right field. Irizarry ready at the plate. Here comes the 1-1, and it's chopped off the leg of Irizarry for a foul ball strike 2. 1-2 the count to Keenan Irizarry. Ryan O'Reilly would love to pick up strikeout number 10 to end his day. I do pretty much, I feel very strongly that this will be the last inning of work for Ryan O'Reilly. The 1-2 works inside, bounces in, evens the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes. So that'll cause some time to be wasted as Irizarry makes a little walk around in the foul territory just to ready himself between pitches. 2-2 the counts to Keenan Irizarry with 2 outs in the 7th inning. Swinging strike 3, strikeout number 10 of the day from Ryan O'Reilly. Not bad to end his long performance in this game. 10 German American Bank strikeouts. That is good to end the 7th inning. Otters still lead by 9, 11-2. To the bottom of the 7th inning we go. They've sang of the 7th inning stretch, and we get a good look there of Steve Pastora, one of the Otters on the injured list currently, but he is the only one wearing the Salt Lake Occidentals jersey, the home jersey from 1911. The Occidentals of Salt Lake City were one of the top black baseball outfits of the early 20th century. After defeating almost all corners in the Salt Lake area, the team sought fresh competition in Los Angeles. They faced a select all Japanese American squad in 1909 and sought to join the integrated California Winter League. Last pitch is thrown out, and we should be good to go here in the 7th inning. Trevor Kunkel will head to the mound for Lake Erie in relief. Stands 6'0" up there and can get a lot of velocity going home as well. This call of bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Kunkel on the mound, Fisher behind the plate. That pitcher catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000. Couple of pitches come in, both for called strikes, and Miles Gordon, the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, finds himself down 0-2 in the count. Had 2 base hits in the 5th inning. Both of them were RBI doubles. Next pitch works outside, and the count's at 1-2 for him. Otters hit the road after this one, concluding a 3-game homestand against these Lake Erie Crushers. Ball chopped foul to the right side. They stay foul, so the count remains at 1-2. There you are. Quick look at the Otters schedule coming up. 3 at Florence, 3 at Lake Erie. They then return home for a very brief 3-game set against Joliet before heading on the road for a 4-game 4th of July weekend set at Gateway. 2-2 the count towards Miles Gordon. He has a huge shift on him there in the infield. The shortstop is almost playing directly over second base. The 2-2 to Gordon. He sends it towards the left side, but it is going to end up foul. Long run for Flotay, and it drops right in front of him before he can get there in time. Otters hanging on to a 9-run lead right now. Don't forget that this is the last game of the day for the Frontier League. A lot happens. Empire State had a double-decker chance to grab a game against Trois-Rivières, fell in both of those. Gateway came out victorious over Joliet, big win for them. The 2-2 to Gordon, and he sends it towards shallow left field. Running in is Gitter, and it falls between Gitter, Irizarry, and White. And Gordon's going to make it all the way to second. Taking advantage there. And they'll call it a Deerhead double-decker double to lead off the inning for Miles Gordon. Up next, the left fielder, Zack Biermann, who also had a pair of RBI hits in the 5th inning, a single and a double. Good to see, even with the Otters up big, a lot of crowds sticking around. Official attendance today, 3,451. Big crowd in attendance. This whole weekend was nice to see. Last night there were just over 3,000, almost 4,600 on Friday night. 1-0 the count to Zack Biermann. Watches it go by for ball 2. And the Lake Erie bullpen is rather depleted right now. 2-0 the count to Zack Biermann. Pushes it foul to the left side. I actually have a unique jersey up there right now. Trevor Kunkel up on the mound is wearing a road jersey from 1910 from the Lincoln Giants, led by Smokey Joe Williams and John Henry Lloyd. The Giants won 3 straight Eastern Championships from 1911 to 1913. And in 1923, they became a charter member of the Eastern Colored League, but never enjoyed the success of their earlier years in that new league. 3-1 the count now to Zack Biermann after the inside pitch. The 3-1 skied out towards center. Chasing back is White towards the wall. Gone! Big fly for Zack Biermann extends his lead atop the Frontier League. He has 12 on the season. And there go a couple more fireworks. First 2 men reach, one for a double, one for a home run. And the Otters lead extended to 11 for the first time in the game. Brings up the designated hitter in this game, Jeffrey Baez. Got his first hit in that long 5th inning with an RBI single. Hard hit straight at the shortstop, Irizarry, who hauls it in for out number 2. Tough luck for the big man Baez. That'll bring up the first baseman, Steven Sinsley, who has 2 doubles and a single already in this game. Sinsley started off with a fly out to deep left field in the 2nd inning. He's backed it up with 3 base hits. Sharply hit ball in the first pitch he sees. Quite foul to the right side, however. We don't know the pitching matchups quite yet for this weekend series at Florence, but I would expect that the Otters, you're at least going to get to see both Parker Brahms and Justin Watland. And then potentially, I don't know, a bit hard to say. Maybe Austin Gossman might be ready to go once again. 1-1 works inside, and Sinsley's ahead in the count 2-1. Defense once again playing a heavy shift for Steven Sinsley. His last base hit went against the shift, and he just pushed it down that left field line. Scored a couple of runs on it as well. The next pitch gets past the catcher Fisher, and it's a 3-1 count for Steven Sinsley. Otters are making sure they make the most of every single at-bat in this game. They didn't get to take batting practice before the game, and they're using this now as their time. A called strike 2 sends the count to full for Steven Sinsley. Another nice thing to see is it's all smiles for the Otters down in their bullpen and in the dugout. Steven Sinsley is going to earn himself a walk to first on a Deerhead Sidewalk Cafe and Bar. First walk of the game for Sinsley. That'll bring up Elijah Mcnamee, who is without a hit in this game still. Mcnamee is one of 3 Otters without a base hit. Boy, has it become a just perfect night for baseball here in Evansville. 79 degrees, just a little bit of breeze coming in towards the stands. Gonna have fireworks tonight as well. Hard hit ball by Mcnamee is foul to the right side. Just a heads up on those games this whole week while the team's on the road. All the games in Eastern time zone, so it'll be 5:30 starts Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday there against Florence. The 0-1 works a bit inside and evens the count at 1-1 for Elijah Mcnamee. And then when the team heads to Lake Erie for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday next week, 6:05 East Central Time on Friday, 5:05 Eastern or Central on Saturday, and then a very early game on Sunday, just 1 p.m. Way foul territory, and Bryant Flotay able to haul it in, and Mcnamee is going to once again sit down without a base hit. That'll bring up the second baseman, J.R. Davis, who's 0 for 3 in the game. He reached on a walk in the 5th inning, came around to score on the Dakota Phillips grand slam. Tyler Spring is still warming up for the Otters, almost surely coming in to pitch for the Otters whenever this half inning ends. Davis skies out towards center field. White chasing back towards the warning track. Then he starts working a little bit further back in for the 3rd out there of the 7th inning. Otters score 2 more on a home run from Zack Biermann. We have played 7 full innings. Otters lead 13-2. Top of the 8th inning, and there will be a pitching change for the Evansville Otters. Tyler Spring will enter the game for Ryan O'Reilly. Spring is making his first appearance since Friday night when he went 1 full inning, giving up 2 runs on 1 hit, striking out 3 in the inning as well. This call to the bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Spring on the mound. Phillips behind the plate. That pitcher catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000. Tyler Spring this evening is wearing the 1942 home jersey of the New York Black Yankees, a team that started as an independent team in 1932, then joined the Negro National League in 1936. Satchel Paige appeared in a publicity shoot in Yankee Stadium in this same style of Black Yankees jersey. Coco Figueredo heading to the plate. 1 for 2 on the day. Left at third after that double in the 4th inning. Digs in for his first opportunity of this 8th inning. Spring will send it home. It's pushed left and out of play for strike 1. Take this time to walk you through the official line for an unreal day for Ryan O'Reilly. Gives up 2 runs, only 1 of them earned, on 8 hits across 7 innings of work. He strikes out 10, walking just 3. Pitched 124 pitches in the appearance as well. The 0-1 works outside, and the count's even at a ball and a strike to Coco Figueredo. Spring pitching out of the stretch up there on the mound. The off speed and curveball stays high and outside. You can stay up to date with all the latest news and promotions from the Evansville Otters by visiting evansvilleotters.com and subscribing to the Otters e-newsletter by clicking Join Our E-News on the evansvilleotters.com homepage. Also, don't forget to follow the Otters on Twitter at Eville Otters, on Instagram at Evansville Otters, and like the Evansville Otters on Facebook. Swinging strike 2 is clipped foul into the glove of Phillips, and the count's even at 2-2 for Coco Figueredo. Spring taking his time up on the mound as he has to be patient for Figueredo to get back in the box. First sign he sees from Phillips, he nods his head and sends home the 2-2. Sent sharply towards Sinsley, who drops to his knees and pulls it in for out number 1 on a line. That will bring up the first baseman, Connor Owings, who's 0 for 3. A line out and a couple of strikeouts for him. His lineout was hit directly at Davis, who made a tough play over his shoulder that saved a couple of runs, as at the time Owings had runners on second and third. Had that got down, it surely would have scored both. First pitch to Connor Owings. Misses outside on the off speed. If the Otters are able to take this, they will remain undefeated in West Division Series so far. They've done very well ever since they returned home from that Canadian road trip where they struggled with a pretty depleted roster up there north of the border. Since then, though, they have been one of, if not the hottest team in the Frontier League. The 2-0 just misses on the inside edge, and it's a 3-0 count. for Connor Owings. Spring sends home the 3-0, and it's outside a 4-pitch walk to Connor Owings. That'll bring up the left fielder Jake Gitter, who's 0 for 3. A couple of groundouts and a strikeout. In fact, one of his groundouts was a double play that was hit sharply at the first baseman Sinsley. He made a nice read on it, went to second for 1, and they threw it back to him for the 3rd out of the half inning. First pitch for Jake Gitter, pushes it foul to the left side towards the parking lot. Good for a really long strike 1. Spring having to wait a long time between pitches just for batters to get back in the batter's box. Pitch stays high and outside. The count evens up at a ball and a strike. A pretty small lead over there at first from Owings, and Gitter just sends it foul once again to the left side and out of the ballpark towards the parking lot. Don't forget that the stars of the Frontier League are converging on Washington, Pennsylvania this summer for the 2022 Frontier League All-Star Game. In fact, we're just about a month away from that. If you want to get tickets, you can find them at WashingtonWildThings.com for more information. Ball is zoomed out towards left field. Gitter seems to be underneath it. Apologies, it's Biermann out there, brings it in for the 2nd out of the inning. So with 2 down and a runner on first, it will bring up the catcher Devin Fisher, who's 0 for 3 in the game with a couple of strikeouts. Small lead for Connor Owings, of course, at first. And here comes the first pitch to Fisher. Just misses high, ball 1. Defense is playing straight up, both in the infield and outfield, rather deep. Stays way high, 2 of the count. Shirley going just for the sure thing. Let's get an out with the very deep infield. The 2-0 to Devin Fisher. Swinging strike 1. Hefty swing. There is another arm warming up for Lake Erie out there in left. So we might see another new crusher in this game. The 2-1. Off speed falls in for a swinging strike 2. And the deuces are wild. Runner on first, 2 outs. 2-2 count to Devin Fisher. Way outside opposite batter's box. And the count fills up. Really deep infield for the Otters. And Tyler Spring fires it home. Swinging strike 3. The inning ends with a German American Bank strikeout. The first of the game for Tyler Spring. And that takes us to the bottom half of the 8th inning. Otters up big in this one on a beautiful Sunday evening from Bosse Field. For the bottom of the 8th inning, Lake Erie relies on another new pitcher. It'll be Kenny Wells this time. Wells will meet quickly with his catcher, Devin Fisher, up there before they start warming up. 10th appearance of the season for Kenny Wells. This call to the bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Wells on the mound, Fisher behind the plate. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000. Don't forget that Frontier League Baseball on Flow Sports is presented by Bud Light. It looks like Jacob Bowles is warming up for the Otters out there in right field. Just to clarify, not a save situation for him. Due up in the half inning, Dakota Phillips, Andy Armstrong, and Anthony Taurellas. Dakota Phillips with a couple of base hits so far in this game. The grand slam in the 5th inning that really broke this game open, and a single in the 6th. Phillips making the walk towards the plate, looking to make it 3 straight base hits in the game. Infield is playing again, very shifted to the right side for him. In fact, the shortstop's playing almost directly over second yet again. First pitch for Phillips is a called strike 1 on the high outside corner. Fastball got him looking not exactly what I expected from Kenny Wells after he had a pretty miserable warm-ups up there on the mound. He just couldn't seem to get his pitching motion where he wanted it. So good to see that the first pitch he throws in the actual game time are both challenging pitches there. Phillips taking a couple seconds of breather before he walks back in. Kenny Wells wearing another new jersey out there that we haven't seen yet tonight. The 0-2 is swung on and missed by Phillips, and he'll sit down with a strikeout, his first one of the game, and the first of the game for Wells. Kenny Wells is wearing a 1925 road jersey for the Harrisburg Giants. The Harrisburg Giants joined the Eastern Colored League, or the ECL, for the 1924 season with Hall of Fame center fielder Oscar Charleston as playing manager. The Giants became known primarily for their hitting, along with Charleston, outfielder first baseman Heavy Johnson, winner of the batting Triple Crown for the 1923 Kansas City Monarchs, was signed away from the rival Negro National League. Speedy outfielder Fats Jenkins, a well-known professional basketball player and member of the New York Wrens, also playing for Harrisburg throughout its tenure in the ECL. It's a gray jersey that has script Harrisburg written across the front in black lettering. 1-1 the count to Andy Armstrong. Pushes it foul to the right side on a swing that kind of had him choked up on the bat. And he falls down in the count 1-2 now. The 1-2 sent right back up the middle, bouncing and through for a base hit. The first hit of the game for Andy Armstrong. And that will once again bring to the plate the third baseman, Anthony Taurellas. Taurellas got his first professional base hit in that long 5th inning on a double. He then scored 2 times as well. Hit sharply towards the third baseman, Flotay, to second for 1, to first in time for the double play. That one will end the half inning. 5-4-3 officially. Sends us to the top of the ninth inning. Jacob Bowles coming in to pitch for the Otters. We'll have the conclusion right after this here on the Otters Digital Network. And we're ready for the top of the ninth inning. New pitcher for the Otters. It's going to be Jacob Bowles, who has been a long reliever and many times this year. He's going to get a chance to throw here in the ninth inning. New jersey on him, by the way, one we haven't seen yet tonight, for the Atlanta Black Crackers from 1940. Black Crackers took their team name from the Southern Association's all-white Atlanta Crackers team. Both clubs shared Atlanta's famed Ponce de Leon Park, where during the 1940 season, the legendary Satchel Paige appeared in 2 games for the Black Crackers in jerseys just like these that you're seeing up there on the mounds. So this pitching change is sponsored by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Bowles on the mound, Phillips behind the plate. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Or you can give them a call at 812-475-9000. Let them know Evan the Otter sent you. One more look at this Lake Erie's schedule. They've got tomorrow off, of course, as they're heading to Washington for a 3-game set. And then both they and Evansville will arrive in Lake Erie early in the morning on Friday. I mean, wee hours in the morning, as the two will face off once again next weekend in a home series for Lake Erie. Bryant Flotay will get us started here in the ninth inning. He is 0 for 2 or 1 for 2 with a single and a flyout. His other one was a walk early in the game. He came around to score in the 5th inning. Takes a called strike one on the outside corner to start off this count. He mentions a couple words to home plate umpire Trey Hudson, who just shakes his head back. 0-1, the count towards Bryant Flotay. Swinging strike 2. And he is visibly upset after that swing. Looking to compose himself and step back in, though. Good on Jacob Bowles to enter this game and throw 2 straight strikes. The 0-2 on the way. Oh boy, the curveball got him swinging. They check down to third and say, yes, he did. It's the first strikeout of the game for Jacob Bowles, and it's the first German American strikeout for Bryant Flotay on the game. And that will bring up the right fielder, Sean Cheely, who is 2 for 2 with 2 singles and a walk in this game. Tell you, hitters that are batting under 100 can scare you, especially when they're towards the bottom of the lineup, because they always seem to be due against your team. And Cheely has certainly been due in a couple of these games. Had RBIs in each of the first 2 games of the series. Starts off with ball 1 in this count. One 0 the count to Sean Cheely. He fouls it back towards the Otters dugout. Count evens at a ball and a strike. Bulls takes time to grab the rosin bag there on the mounds. Collects himself, and Sean Cheely walks back into the box. 1-1 the count. Again, the defense playing straight up for Evansville. 1-1 works way outside. A nice grab from Phillips as it worked towards the outside edge. 13-2 the lead for Evansville after an 11-run fifth inning. Really put this game away for them. All of the scoring in this inning has come in just the fifth and seventh innings. Cheely fires it high towards the right side. Sinsley chasing after in foul territory, and it will get out of play and end up as a souvenir for someone over there. Mcnamee and Sinsley go running into each other almost out there and in the foul territory. 2-2 the count to Sean Cheely now. Otters have the day off, of course, tomorrow before they head to Florence for a 3-game set. 6:30 starts Eastern time, so there'll be 5:30 starts here in Central time and for the 3 games at Florence. Same thing with the Lake Erie. Those are Eastern time, so 6:05 here, 5:05 here. Full count now for Sean Cheely. Bulls looking to pick up a second straight strikeout here. And instead he will walk Cheely to first and bring up the top of the order, center fielder Austin White. White is going to be a lot of fun to watch in these next couple weeks as he continues putting quality time into this league. After joining the league just a couple weeks ago from Coastal Carolina, he has really gotten into a groove playing very good baseball for these Crushers. And he's been really good in this series as well. He has at least 2 hits in every game of this series so far. 3 on Friday, 2 yesterday, 2 more tonight. 1-0 the count to Austin White. And the curveball falls in and evens the count at 1-1. Nice pitch there from Jacob Bulls. The 1-1 to Austin White. Again on the off-speed breaking ball, and it falls in for strike 2. First opportunity here to strike out White. Hit sharply at Davis. Off his glove and goes into shallow right field. Mcnamee will finally pick it up, and it's an error on the second baseman Davis on a play that could have ended the game. So now runners on first and second with just 1 out. It's now Jackson Valera who heads to the plate. Started out the day with 2 straight strikeouts, and now his last 2 appearances have been RBI singles, driving in both of the 2 runs for Lake Erie in this game. Pitch is way high inside. Valera just barely gets out of the way. Counts 1-0. Runner on first is Austin White. Sean Cheely there at second. The 1-0 to Valera. Thinks about chasing. A good thing he didn't, because it's ball 2. Long wait for some of these batters to get back into the box here in this 9th inning. Jackson Valera ready to go. The 2-0 on the way from Bowles. Swinging strike 1. Again, pulls the string on that off-speed breaking ball. And it's now a 2-1 count. Otters lead this one by 11 after 11 runs in that 5th inning. They put the pedal down and did not let up at all. In fact, in that half inning, they got through 13 batters with just 1 out. Ball sent right back up the middle. Davis can't get to it. It's another single. Could be another RBI single, and it is. The last 3 at-bats for Jackson Valera are all 3 RBI singles. And just like that, there's still just 1 out, and Lake Erie has scored a run. It will bring up Keenan Irizarry. The lead is now just 10 for the Otters. Runners on first and second are Valera and White. Bowles has stepped up there onto the mound. Looks in for his sign and has it. Or the first pitch to Irizarry. Sends it right at Davis. He plays it well this time. To second for 1. To first for the double play that ends the game. And the Otters get back to their winning ways and continue their perfect series record against West Division opponents this year with a 13-3 win over the Lake Erie Crushers. We'll keep it right here for postgame, as it's nice to see Evansville able to finally have a solid inning of work in one of the innings of this series. They really struggled in the first 2 games to find an inning and get after 1 or 2 pitchers. They really did that in this game. The win goes to Ryan O'Reilly, his 2nd of the year. Good for him. What a performance he had there on the mound to start this game. Tell you what, he gave up just 2 runs, 1 of them earned, on 8 hits in 7 innings of work. He struck out 10 in the game. The loss goes to Jason Alvarez, just his 2nd of the year. He is a very good pitcher and has been playing things very well for a lot of this season. Excited to see how he continues to go through the year as well, whether that is here in a starting position or if he does start to get back into a reliever sort of deal as well. The Otters, for the first time in this series, out-hit Lake Erie 14-9, and they do commit 1 error there in that very last inning by J.R. Davis. Doesn't end up mattering too much as the Otters go on to win this one 13-3. Tyler Spring gave an inning out of the bullpen, no runs on no hits and 1 inning of work. Bowles allowed 1 run on 1 hit in his 1 inning of work as well. Otters were able to strike out 12 collectively, 10 of those coming from Ryan O'Reilly, and what was just a ton of fun to see. You know, he really worked through the order well, found ways to mix in his breaking balls and his fastballs left and right. That's what made him, I think, especially dangerous in this game. With the win, the Otters do move back into first place in the West Division. Of course, there's still a lot of baseball to be played, but there's a lot of exciting action happening underneath them. Joliet sitting there in 3rd after a really good stretch of baseball. We're going to see them back here in town in about a week and a half's time. But from now on, the Otters are going to spend the next 6 games on the road. They head to Florence for a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday series. Then they face this Lake Erie team for the 3rd time in a month on the road next Friday through Sunday with a 3-game set at Lake Erie. You'll be able to catch Tuesday night series opener against the Florence Yalls right here on the Otters Digital Network with first pitch starting at 5:30. All of the pregame show starting at 5:20 to walk you through what you need to know for game time. Want to thank you for tuning in all weekend long. If you came to one of the games throughout the weekend, thanks for coming into a couple games. It was a great atmosphere all weekend long. And we're glad that you could be part of Otter Nation. From all of us here at the Evansville Otters, I'm Matthew Will. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Otters Baseball. I'll talk to you Tuesday night as the Evansville Otters head to Florence to face the Yells for the first time in a 3-game set. We've got the pregame show at 5:20 here on the Otters Digital Network. I'll talk to you Tuesday night.